Oh, yeah. How's it going? How's it going? Get some dolls going today. Oh, actually, I have a video to show. Hold on. We could start with a video. Heard it a little. That Rysair? Yes, it's me. Rysair VT. Gotta set this. So dumb. There is your daily dose. You know, gotta have it. I already did Bandle today. I spiked it in 1. Off of a meme. So actually, I can run through the process that got me there. They did say easy difficulty part 2, but I actually didn't recognize this at all. And I thought it was Amber by 311, but they didn't have that. And they actually didn't have anything by 311. So I was like, oh, that's weird. I thought it was Amber. Because it kind of sounds like that. And then I'm like, you know what? You know, if I get Wonderwall. And it's Wonderwall. Hey, Thor, how's it going? If you hear the second one, it becomes pretty obvious. But yeah, I slammed it just because I was like, anyways, here's a Wonderwall. I actually don't think you get much help after the second one. This should get you there, though. Do frame. Newbie. What is this? Is this the Godfather? Is this Evita? Not even on here. I've never seen The Godfather. It's pretty good. I like The Godfather. Is this... I don't know, skip me. Is this Casino? I have no idea. I have no idea. That's what's her face. Frida Kahlo. Frida? Hey, okay. I didn't know she had a movie. I almost said Friday. It's one letter off Friday. Box office game. Sony Picture. This is 2012. Okay, big Avengers year. September 2012. I think Avengers came out in 2012. There's no way Avengers came out in 2012. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. 42 milli in the first week. Sony Pictures with Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler 2012? This can't be Jack and Jill. But that's around that time. Was it Grown Ups? Even Monster... Ah. Of course. The Hotel Transylvania. Adam Sandler classic. 20 milli, first week, Sony Pictures, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So this could be... He's top billed as well. So, not Inception. This is too late for Inception as well, I think. Not Inception, because Leo would be top billed. Not Dark Knight Rises, because Christian Bale would be top billed. Or someone besides JGL would be. Is this Lupa? Is this the Lupa? Yes. Nice. 7 milli in its second week fell off a cliff. So it was a hyped up movie that nobody went to go see with Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh my god, you got Hotel Transylvania in this? Yeah, it I got it on the tagline. Adam Sandler in the tagline. Open Road. Is this Nightcrawler? The year's about right, and that's Jake Gyllenhaal. That's a little indie. No. Every moment of your life, they stand watch. Michael Pena? Jake Gyllenhaal? What movie is this? Crime drama thriller. Two young officers are marked for death after confiscating a small cache of money and firearms and the members of a notorious cartel during a routine traffic stop. I don't know. End of watch. That is certainly them. Warner Bros. 7 milli, second week, fell off a cliff. Clint Eastwood. This Gran Torino? This is The Mule or Gran Torino? I guess I have enough guesses. I can just guess both. I think The Mule came out later. Not Gran Turismo. What? Fate Grand Order? It's not... Isn't it Gran Torino? Okay, well, it's The Mule, then. Miss. What else is Clint Eastwood in? Gran Turismo? No, Gran Turismo is the gamer movie where the gamers learn how to race. This movie's hype. Hey, Ryder. Hey, how's it going? This is the perfect VR chat movie, by the way. How do I feel about the Minecraft movie? I'm not going to pay money to see it. I might see it in passing. It's another VR chat movie. I don't have as much investment in it as maybe some other folks do. Minecraft is definitely a past my generation product. All right, whatever. We don't care about this. Okay. Whatever life throws at you. Flowed by age and failing eyesight, crack baseball scout Gus Lobel takes his grown daughter along as he checks out the final prospect of his career. Along the way, two renew their bond, and she catches the eye of a young player. This is the most Clint Eastwood-ass movie. JT's in it? What the hell is this movie? Like, is it called, like, Romance and Baseball? Tad Jones in the Basement of Doom. It's like Love and Baseball. Love of the Game? Okay, if I spiked that, I would have freaked out. Trouble with the Curve. I remember this. Yeah, this is a Clint Eastwood ass movie. 7 milli. Everything made like 7 milli, huh? Except the good stuff. Minus 42% in its second week again. So all this crap released around the same time. Jenny Lawrence. Hungry Games? Relativity. This is not Hungry Games. Is this Silver Linings Playbook? I feel like that might have gotten more attention, as well as had Braditha Cooper as the top build. Fear reaches out for the girl next door. Oh, this is some Blocky. Elizabeth Shue. Pog. A mother and daughter move into a new town and find themselves living next door to a house where a young girl murdered her parents. When the daughter befriends the surviving son, she learns the story is far from over. House at the end of the street. Early Jennifer J. Law. Early J. Law. Should we do any other dolls? Yeah, let's do connections. Why not? Bash bag, color, sack. Sack bag. Pan. Slam. Sajam terms. Slam, bash. Blast. Reception, blowout, blast, slam, parties. No. Color, cut, trim. Things you do with your hair. Blowout. Things you do with your hair. Yes. Yard, sack, football. Reception, hey, how you been? Score, football. One away. Attempt. Measured in football stats. Okay, take it. Slam, blast, bash. Bag, snag, land, score. Obtain a deal. Yes. Slam, bash, splash, pan. To shit on. Criticize. Yeah. Okay, cool. Miniath crosswordia. File type for downloadable forms, PDFs. Catherine of Beetlejuice. Pastry. Nostalgic song. Left on red. Animal known as a giant cat bear in Chinese. Panda? Ancient Celtic priest. A druid. It is written in the stars. Fate. Funk from a dirty sock. Odor. Featured in the middle of 6 Across. Something donut. Nostalgic song. Oldie. Donut hole. Got it. He's nasty with it. Yeah, I kind of cooked that one. Catherine O'Hara. I didn't know that one. Okay. Umineko time? I think so. So we are pretty deep. Not pretty deep. We are about 2 episodes in. We're 2 chapters into episode 6. Stuff's getting weird. Stuff's getting a little weird. We have Featherine and Angie as kind of our spectators. And we have Battler as the game master, who has revived the body of Beatrice, but not the soul and mind of Beatrice. So while she is biologically the same person, I think this is kind of a metaphor for something I mentioned last time, where I think Kinzo, in his effort to relive the love of the woman that he had however many years ago, kept trying to recreate Beatrice Ecuadorian by raising these girls there. And I think this is essentially that, which is kind of interesting that it parallels it so hard, because, you know, there is this idea that Battler and Kinzo are so similar. Is there any way that, like, Is there any way what Battler is experiencing now? I have not thought of this. Is there any way what Battler is experiencing now is actually like 50 years ago, 60 years ago? And in like, what would that make it? In like 1920 something? What Battler's experiencing is actually way back before, and Battler is Kinzo. And I mean, I guess that would make sense at how he was experiencing these stories, like how it would be known what happens here. But is that possible that the Beatrice that Battler's communicating with is actually the original Beatrice that Kinzo fell in love with? And Kinzo, in our stories, is an aged Battler. And actually, Battler is the father of Kraus, Rudolph, and Rosa and Ava. The Battler above the board is their father, and the Battler in the game is his grandson, who, again, looks just like him. That's a curious one. I wonder if that'll pan out. Rokonjima this day, or rather this round, was the same as any other. The typhoon would be coming very soon. The sky was still overcast, but the clouds were moving quickly. I think this might be my favorite song in the whole soundtrack. The only thing on Natsuhi's mind was the plan to cover up Kinzo's absence again this year. Kraus appeared to have suffered a stomachache from the stress and was sleeping in his room. Jessica and Kumasawa had left on a boat to go shopping and greet the incoming relatives on Nijima. The servants had been busy since early morning preparing for the family conference, the greatest event of the year. Janet and Cannon were rushing to get the guest house ready. If the relatives are going to stay the night, shouldn't the guest rooms in the mansion be more than enough? Good point. It's a pain to clean up this place too, after all. Even so, I like cleaning the guest house. Hey Ryuko, how's it going? It's nice and quiet without Madam and all the annoying servants. Cannon smiled wryly as she performed a detailed examination of the guest room. Did we forget to clean anything? Do we need to restock anything? She diligently gave the room one final check over. You checked everything thoroughly last night too, didn't you? You really are dedicated. It's days like this that tend to get pranked if you're careless. You can never find important things when you need them. And the things we were supposed to be closed turn out to be, and things that were supposed to be closed turn out to be open. That's because you're too careless. You don't pay attention while you work. I guess that's why you're helping me check. Thanks. There's nothing to thank me for. If you were a bit more alert, I wouldn't have to help at all. But you actually just want to be with me, right? You're such a kid. That's not it at all. It's all because you've been so ecstatic about George lately. You're messing up so much. I can't let you out of my sight. Cannon, let's chat a bit. We can't do that now, we're working. You keep making fun of me and George. But how is it going between you and Jessica? Nothing's going on in particular. If you have time to talk about that, let's just finish this job. Cannon had very obviously been trying to change the subject. Shannon then snuck up behind him and pushed him down onto the bed. So why did you turn down Milady when she asked you to go with her to welcome the relatives? Because I have work to do. Liar. You don't actually have any work at all. Shannon and Cannon had switched roles. Normally, Cannon was the one in control, but when it came to romance, it was the opposite. As Shannon had said, Jessica and Cannon were supposed to have been the ones to greet the relatives at the harbor on Nijima. However, Cannon had suddenly claimed he had work to do, so Kumasawa went instead. Cannon did not have any work to do. Shannon knew this. Milady told me, despite what happened after the cultural festival, She really does like you, Canon. Even though I'm furniture? That's right. And I'm furniture too. But despite that, you're in love with a human. Even though you can't do that. You think so? Maybe we're furniture. Just because we take that for granted. Maybe we're furniture just because we take that for granted. I don't have any special feelings for Milady Jessica. I only think of her as the daughter of the family that we serve. Really? Really? What? You know, there is a chance that George will propose to me tonight. Canon wore an incredibly peaceful smile on her face, but Canon could tell there was no way she'd let him change the subject. Canon realized that she must have made him help out here in the guest house in order to talk to him about this, and he clicked his tongue softly. You really think you can marry a human, even though you're furniture? I think I can. It won't work. Why not? That dream future that George has imagined for you two is something you could never give him. Well, we aren't humans. We're furniture, inferior to them. George only thinks that you're human. Well, that's true, but I'm impressed that you managed to keep him fooled this long. Do you really think you can keep tricking him like that forever? Even though you still haven't been able to tell him that you're furniture? Being furniture or being human has nothing to do with this. I believe that George will accept everything about me. And yet you don't have the courage to check and make sure. You know what? I think I'll accept his proposal. As Shannon looked up at the ceiling, she spoke of the imagined future that she and George would create. Though some anxiety over the future appeared on her face, so did the joy of knowing what it was like to live with love. As Canon watched this vivid dream he was being shown, he knew that none of his words would reach Shannon anymore. You can just do what you want. Once you've said you'll do something, you can be incredibly stubborn. Yep. I want to live my life my own way. I'd like to stop being afraid over who's furniture and who's a human. Yeah, Canon holds a lot of weight to that, but in reality, it kind of means nothing, right? Canon walked over to the window silently. He saw the rose garden filled with boring gray flowers in bloom. He realized that Shannon was acting above her place, and he knew that her tale had no chance of a happy ending. However, he also knew that no words of his could change her mind now that she had made her decision. In that case, it doesn't matter what I say. If I tell you to stop, you won't listen. If I tell you to do what you want, you'll do what you want. Why are you talking to me about this? It's not like you care what I have to say. What I want to know is how you feel about Milady. I have nothing to do with the two of you. You really feel absolutely nothing for her? No, I don't. As I keep telling you. Liar. What makes you think that's a lie? I can tell. I'm your Nesan, aren't I? You don't know. You can't know what I'm feeling. I do. I know everything about you, Canon. If you really do know, then why even ask? Your head and your heart are completely filled by George, aren't they? And that sincerity of yours, and it's that sincerity of yours that I love. That's why I'm rooting for you in the only way I can. Otherwise, even you? Even I wanted to love Milady. Hi Ditz, how's it going? Canon finally turned to face her, honestly and openly telling her how he really felt. That was what Shannon had wanted to hear. And after hearing that, she pressed Canon even further to reveal his true feelings. You can't leave it at that. I won't let you. Then what should I do? What do you want me to say? Don't try to dodge by saying, I wanted to love her. All you need to do is honestly tell me what you really feel. Milady is too dazzling for me. The way she lives is too dazzling. It's like the sun. That's why I love her. I was so happy when she stretched out her hand and asked me to walk with her. No. I'm still happy about that. You love her, don't you? Yes, I do. I love Milady. So Game 6 is Canon and Shannon focused? I doubt it. I think if I had to make a prediction about what episode 6 was going to be about, I think it's going to be about love. Because without love, it cannot be seen. We know this. Canon and Shannon, there's a wedding that happens, and I think there's a love between Battler and Beatrice. And so I think the theme of this episode is going to be love. Finally, Canon confessed his feelings in their entirety. In fact, by saying it aloud, he finally understood how he truly felt. As passionate tears welled up in his eyes, Canon finally accepted it. He couldn't stop the tears from dripping down his face. Both of us are exactly the same, locked up on Rokkenjima and living without any hope at all. You see, the concept of a logic error being mentioned last stream makes me curious. Oh yeah, like a contradiction. Yeah, I wonder what that'll... I imagine that's foreshadowing and that will come up. And yet, Milady was able to light her own path and create her own fate. She was so dazzling that I envied her. I felt as though I could be with her. I could find my true self, instead of being the pitiful person that I am now. When you turned down Milady's confession, were you sad? Yes, I was. I never realized that a lie you make to yourself could be so sad, so painful, so excruciating. And I couldn't forgive myself for hurting Milady with that lie. I believed that I didn't have what it takes to ever fall in love again. But that wasn't true. Do you know what's needed to fall in love? It's something you can't get from anyone but yourself. Being furniture or not has nothing to do with it. If you decide for yourself that it won't work out, then it won't. You mustn't leap to such rigid conclusions. That's why I, overambitious furniture that I am, gave myself what's needed to fall in love. So you have it too, Canon. You mean, I have what it takes to fall in love? Yes. If you won't give it to yourself, I'll give it to you. Thank you. I feel as though I can finally see the sea. I'm certain of it. George will propose to me tonight. When he does, I will accept. I intend to leave this island and start a new life in our new world. If that's the path you've chosen, then I have no say in that matter. I'll leave this island, and after that I'll never return again. I'll have to say farewell to you, Canon. You're right. We won't see each other again, will we? If you do love Milady from the bottom of your heart, and your feelings are at least as strong as my feelings for George, then you and I will have to settle whose feelings are really stronger. This way is best for both of us. Don't give up on your feelings for my sake. Even though my selfishness might keep you from your happiness, I realize the same thing about myself. I know that my happiness will bring you pain. We had no choice but to hurt each other. As she said this, Shannon turned her back to Canon. Canon watched Shannon from behind. He was struck by her strength, and the love she still felt for him despite everything. Nei-san, living with you made me happy. Me too. I wouldn't have lasted this long without you. And that's why I was able to meet George. And I wouldn't have realized how dazzling Milady is if it weren't for you. I won't abandon the way I feel. I'll focus on that feeling alone, ignoring everything else. And I won't look away when I trample over your heart. Me too. I won't use you as an excuse to hide the way I really feel. Whether my love bears fruit or yours does, we'll both support the victor. That's curious. Why is it implied that only one of them can have what they want? So... Yes, I promise. And if I win, I will love Milady and treasure you. Thank you. But if I win, I'll forget you in this island and leave this place forever. Yes. Whichever of us wins, that person will pursue their love with all they've got. Okay. Here's a head-ass theory. Here's a head-ass theory. Shannon and Canon are one person. So they can't both get the love that they want. Maybe when one twin, the other has to work in the mansion permanently till something else comes up. I mean, there's nothing that would imply that. You can just hire more servants. Obviously, these are special servants, and there's something to do with them bearing the one-winged eagle. But I actually wonder if they're the same person. How can they be one person? Well, this is a story being told, right? It's not necessarily something that we are observing with our own eyes. Cannon is the shy personality that's in love with Jessica. Shannon is the more overt personality that's in love with George, that George is also in love with. Everyone did see them together. Yeah. Of course. If they were the same person, they would always be together, right? It would also get around the red that they're only ex, so they must be distinct. Look, Yuko, I get it, and I know you've read ahead, and I know you've seen more of this than I have. So, like, I take what you say with more weight than you might be. But you've read it. How could you be wrong? Like, unless you're, like, trolling and, like, lying. I don't spoil anything, but it doesn't matter. You still know it. No, like, there's spoilers in what's not said as well. You know what I mean? Because you don't spoil anything, I know that literally anything you say is false. And that the opposite is probably true. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you are, you know, you say something like that. How can they be one person? Everyone saw them. Yeah, but it's not an intention thing. It's an implicit tone thing. And this happens a lot when people know the story of something, because you know what's important and you know what's not. So you know what to highlight and what to not highlight if you're trying to emphasize what's important. And in directly debating my points, it says a lot when I say something and you go to directly debate it. I don't know how else to really express it. And I want you to chat and I want you to engage with it and stuff. But I just really want to ask you to be careful when you say stuff like that. Like, how can they be one person? When you say something like that, I already know it's just not a thing. So yeah, I don't want to rain on your parade either. I do want you to enjoy participating. I do want you to enjoy engaging, but I really just, the last episode too, it was like, you know, just little things that pop up, and it's like, I know they're probably not overt, outright spoilers, but it's just things like that where it's like, now I don't even feel like going down that line because it's kind of obvious that it's nothing. Don't rely on what I did say before. You can solve it. I've given up on solving it. Ava Beatrice did state and read in episode 3 of the Ken and Shannon were dead separately. It would be if, well, again, this is like a story being told, so things can totally be metaphorical. I know Goda did kill it, yeah. The most honest Goda Trice believer is definitely you, and maybe Shaylee, but yeah, definitely the Goda Trice truther. But yeah, no, I don't want to be rude either. So like I said, please don't take too much weight in that. Just I don't know, maybe be a little courteous of that. I think you should stop trying to solve it because I think you should not stop trying to solve it. Small bombs, 100% true. No, by trying to solve it, I mean, I'm not going to sit down and just try to crack it. I will continue expanding on what I know as things get revealed. Whichever one of us wins, the person will pursue their love with all they've got, even if they know that love will be unrequited. Yes, after all, by now, we are not furniture. Yeah, I think there's something about this where only one of them can win, because something's different this time. Welcome to Rokonjima. And I mean, the simple answer is they don't both want to abandon the they don't both think that they can realistically abandon the family, because I guess they're corpa gaslit into thinking they have to stay there or they owe something to the family or whatever. But like, it almost reads as though they know there's something deeper that would make it such that they can't. Maybe it's a success. Maybe that's a maybe. The boat-carrying relatives docked at the harbor. They left the boat one by one, making fun of Battler. Goda wasn't the only one to greet them. Kanon was there too. It has been quite some time, everyone. Allow me to welcome you to Rokkenjima. I hope that your long journey went smoothly. Welcome to Rokkenjima. Ah, good, good. Goda complimented Kanon in a whisper. Kanon ignored this, looking just a little sour, and continued to greet the incoming relatives. This is also Battler's game, so this might be Battler's interpretation of things. This is your first time meeting Goda and Kanon, isn't it, Battler? Ugh. It's my first time meeting Battler, too. That true?
ゴーダさんは凄腕のシェフでいらっしゃるんだぜ。
Wait, Maria did say that. In an earlier episode, Maria said, oh, this is my first time meeting Battler, because they had to introduce her and stuff. And they were saying, no, you played with Battler at the conference 6 years ago. You were just really young. You were like 6 or whatever. So, you know, you probably just don't remember, but you played with Battler at the last conference. That's your smoking gun right there. That proves that this Battler is a different Battler than the one that attended the conference 6 years ago, which we are, of course, 100% confident in already. I do remember there of an Umineko manga chapter where before Game 6 started, Battler was taking ideas from everyone and it led to him becoming a perverted god. What? I'm glad we didn't get that. Goda-san's a great chef. He's the only reason anyone would ever want to come to this island. So, Maria smartly sees through it and sees that this Battler is a different person than the one that she played with 6 years ago. And again, this is gonna point towards the sin of 6 years ago and all that, probably. I am most honored. Battler, I hope that you look forward to your meals during this stay. I can't wait. I'm counting on you. Long time no see, Kanon. You seem to be in high spirits today. That's great. You think so? Oh yes. Your face is looking brighter today. Maybe it's your complexion. Or maybe it's that your gaze looks a bit more gallant. Must be a growing phase. That's how a boy becomes a man. Usually look as though you're about to pass out from anemia. You're a bit different today. You've got some spunk. A boy can change a lot in just 3 days. I guess this means even Kanon's getting a bit more manly. Hey, we aren't making fun of you, okay? We're all complimenting you. Kanon had sworn to start changing the way he lived bit by bit. However, he had only meant to change within himself, and hadn't expected that it would show on the outside. He was a bit shocked to hear that his expression had changed so much. The people had apparently noticed as soon as he opened his mouth. No. Maybe the real surprise was that his normal expression must have looked incredibly sullen in comparison. Goda led the way up to the guest house. Kanon brought up the rear, helping to carry some of Kumasawa's shopping. Does my face really look that bright today? Oh, it looks that way to me as well. Did something good happen? Even Kumasawa was saying it. Kanon, unable to see what his own face looked like, hung his head in embarrassment. When they reached the rose garden, they could see the others streaming into the guest house. Then he saw Jessica running towards him from there. Is even Milady Jessica gonna say that I'm in a good mood today? Yeah, I mean, clearly this is very good. Umineko is already means a lot to me, actually. And I don't know if it's a timing thing, and I don't know if it's just, you know, it is that good, I think. But this, I can't wait to see how this ends. I just look forward to this every day now. Kanon hung his head even deeper. And so, almost as though he couldn't control himself, he spoke first. Do I really look that different? Huh? Well, you know, you aren't usually the type to come out and say hello of your own accord. That's probably why everyone was surprised. It really is that good. I apologize for not going with you earlier, milady. Huh? Oh, don't worry about that. I'm the one who's sorry for asking you to come all the way out to Nijima with me to meet everyone. I know how busy you must be today. I didn't have anything in particular to do. You were just so dazzling. Whoa. So dazzling that I couldn't bear to be with you. I was just weak. Jessica faltered, uncertain what Kanon was talking about. However, she realized that this was something too important to be laughed off. Did something happen, Kanon? Kanon says she's going to get married. I see. So George is going to propose this time after all. Jessica thought Cannon was sad because Shannon would be leaving, that this new mental state had caused the change in his behavior. And Cannon realized that Jessica was probably thinking this. So he spoke to her clearly and honestly, because he wanted her to know. I decided that I would stop working here if Nason ever quit. I know. So, are you going to quit too, Cannon? I'm not sure anymore. I feel that if I quit, I might lose sight again of something you revealed to me, shining like the sun. Jessica could only stare blankly, unable to understand what he was saying. However, she did realize that he was trying to tell her something important, and so she was able to accept that his next words were neither a lie nor a joke. Milady Jessica, I love you. Whoa, that was fast. I love you too. You live your life like the sun, and I want to try walking that path alongside you. I have a feeling that with you, I'll be able to break free from the me that I despised as furniture. You aren't furniture, Cannon. Did anyone show you the episode 5 manga? Huge fan of the... No, I've not seen it. And you weren't born just so you can become a servant. A boy your age should be enjoying life much, much more. I'm dazzled too. You're so dazzling I can hardly see. This is how I truly feel. I'm sorry for trying to hide it for so long. I apologize for hurting you on that day in my cowardice. That's okay. Just hearing you say that makes me happy. So, since I want to always be with you, I plan to stop being furniture. I ask that you give me some time to do that. Please forgive this last bit of weakness. There's nothing weak about you. You've shown me. You've shown me that you have the incredible courage to change yourself from the way you used to be. So I'll support you until the end, and I won't rush you until you're ready. If I'm the sun lighting your path, that's because I wanted to shine more brightly than anyone else, so that you'd look only at me. Without you, there's no way I'd become anything like a sun. So I'll wait, no matter how long it takes. Thank you, milady. Ojo-sama is a bit stiff, don't you think? May I call you by your name? Sure. Oh, but only when we're alone, okay? Otherwise, it might make things tough for you. Good point. Nason and George-san are doing the same, it seems. If Shannon hadn't been about to get engaged, you wouldn't have said what you would say. What you just said just now, would you have? Shannon hung his head at a loss for words for some time, but it was true. If Shannon hadn't told him about the engagement, he probably wouldn't have been having this conversation at this moment. Yes. Because of that, I was able to think long and hard. Oh, come on. You hear about Shannon and you wanted to see what love felt like yourself, right? Yes. That's a pretty straight answer. Well, when I watched those two, I was pretty jealous myself. In truth, it wasn't quite like that for either of them. They'd been showed the courage needed to speak up and tell the one you love how you feel. That's what pushed both Cannon and Jessica forward. So, what should I call you? Jessica works fine. Just saying it like that would be a bit embarrassing. Then you can use San, at least at first. Why not try it out? Come on. Aw. Good. That'll do for now. And I'd like to call you by your name, Cannon. You have a real name besides Cannon, don't you? I'll bet it has the character On in it like Cannon does. What could it be? Heh. My name is Yoshia. Oh, how is it written? Jessica tried tracing out various characters on the palm of her hand. Then Cannon used his own finger to write out his name on her hand. You write it as this. You're Yoshia-kun. Yeah, that's a great name. Totally better than my weird name. That's not true. Milady Jessica has a wonderful name. Hey, say it again. Huh? Milady Jessica has... One more time. Lady Jessica has a wonderful, Is something wrong? No big deal. Thanks, Yoshia-kun. The red flowers of the rose garden seemed to celebrate the two lovers whose feelings had finally connected. The scene was watched by not one human, by one not human, excuse me, The scene was watched by one not human, who gazed out quietly from beneath the rose garden arbor. Aww. Come to think of it, those two had never called each other by their names until now. Jessica hadn't known Cannon's true name. Cannon hadn't called Jessica by her name. When people call each other by name, they acknowledge the worth of the other's soul. That's why names are sacred. When you've been given permission to say someone's name, it means they've acknowledged your soul. Is that why Father wants me to call him by his name? No, that's probably wrong. When Father sees me, it reminds him of that other me, the past me. And I'm sure that me called Father by name. Makes me wonder what Beatrice's actual birth name was, because she was given the name Beatrice as the Golden Witch. I wonder what her real name is. However, that probably doesn't mean Father would be happy to hear me call him by his name. After all, I am me, and not the Beatrice Father knows well. What can I do to help him? How can I be useful to him? After all, that's the only reason I was born. Hanging her head, Beatrice sat all alone in the Golden Lands arbor next to the rose garden, and she was watched by the Witch of Theatergoing and her Miko as they sat across from each other. Me and my Michael. Poor kid. I never thought I'd see you feel compassion for Beato. It'd be too cruel to call this Beato and the former Beato the same person. They're completely different people. It may be that, by the rules, this Beato is the Beato. However, saying that would be horribly unfair to her. Battler must be very depressed to have things end up this way after reviving his former rival. I sort of get his despair. But I can understand how this kid feels too. No person can become a replacement for another. Not even a past version of that same person. Compared to the young boy and girl who had found new versions of themselves by calling each other by their true names, this witch looked very feeble. The witch knew that she was an illusion created in the image of the person that she once was. And she also knew that it would only hurt Battler if she were to try to pretend to be that person. And despite all that, this Beato wants to be useful to Battler. How admirable. Is that the purpose for the witch known as Beatrice? That is what she claims. She says, whoopsies. She says that she was created to be of service to Battler. So a Beato who was born for Oni-chan's sake eventually commits a serial murder and drags Oni-chan into a bizarre game that she calls eternal torture? I don't get it. I believe you also understand that one can become a different person over 1,000 years. And at the very least, Beatrice was once a pure creature who was born for Battler's sake. It is also very clear that, in her current feeble state, she doesn't possess any of the courage or motivation needed to bring about such fearsome serial murders. Here's a thought. I said Beatrice was locked up in Kuadorian, and Battler was brought on to be her companion. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Battler was the one locked up in Kuadorian. That means the sinister witch we all knew must have changed during the 1,000 years since her birth. We keep getting this 1,000 years business, but I get the feeling that those words are just a metaphor for a really long time. As you get closer to the worlds of gods, the concept of time becomes increasingly vague. 6 years can become 1,000, and 1,000 years can be nothing more than a quick nap. So the 1,000 years could be the time between when Battler was at the last family conference. The original Battler was at the last family conference, and the current family conference, where this new Battler shows up, doesn't remember her, naturally. One can fit an eternity long enough to be deserving of the title 100-year-old witch in a mere 2 weeks. In other words, the pure Beato transformed into the cruel one during 6 years that could be called 1,000. So does that mean something bad happened during those 6 years that made her hate Oni-chan? That doesn't make sense. During those 6 years, Oni-chan not only stayed away from Rokenshima, she even stopped using the Ushiromiya name. He had nothing to do with that change. Her hatred has got to be totally misguided. I think him leaving was probably the sin. 2 different Battlers, for sure. Oh, so this is where you were. Shall I make you some black tea? Kumasawa, there's something I'd like to know. Very well, what is it? And Kumasawa is caring for Beato here. My name is Beatrice, isn't it? Yes, that's correct. You are Beatrice, milady. However, the Beatrice the father talks about isn't me. Well, I think father wanted me to be that person. I think that might be why he was disappointed, because no matter how much I look like her, I am a different person. That isn't true. You are you, Beatrice herself. You have merely lost your memory of the past after being newly reborn. Even without your memory, you are still Beatrice-sama. You are the same person whom the master loves. So then, how can I regain those memories? Well, Beato looked at Kumasawa with hopeful eyes, as though praying that she would tell her the way. Kumasawa averted her gaze unhelpfully, as though trying to say that she'd like to, if only such a way existed. Because she's not saying Battler here, she's saying the master and father. So this could be a conversation had by Kumasawa and Beatrice in Kuadorian. If I can't regain those memories, can you at least tell me what kind of person the Beatrice father loved was? That much I can tell you, but I was born for father's sake, so I want to become the golden witch Beatrice that father desires. Use the red. Beatrice. I cannot use magic. However, if the witch father desires could use it, then I will learn. I want to become the witch he desires. That's the only way I can repay him for creating me. That's admirable. Without the 1,000 years gone wrong, he really is an incredible kid. A chick of a witch. Very interesting. I've taken a liking to her, Angie. I shall allow this chick to make use of my library. Let us open the door that leads back to the world of witches. So you're gonna make her read aloud the stories about her previous self? Yes, I want to know too. The creation story of the golden witch Beatrice. Pause. Very well. If you wish it, then let us open the door once more. Kumasawa. Oh? A golden splash welled up around them. It was a cloud of gold butterflies. Oh my god, Vergilia's coming. Yeah. With a flash of gold, the form of the old lady transformed into that of a witch in a dress. You must choose the path that you are to walk down. Let us call it a path of roses. The beautifully blooming roses may encourage you, and their thorns may torment you. But even so, it is a path that you have walked down before. You may pass through the same 1,000 years. You may pass through a different 1,000 years. If you wish, you may even return back the way you came. I'll move on forward. I don't want to spend 1,000 years in this garden drinking tea. I, Beatrice, was born for father's sake, so I want to live for his sake. Please tell me about the Golden Witch. Great Witch spread her arms, communicating the other's unbending determination to the brilliant heavens. At that moment, a brilliant light covered the two of them, and before they knew it, they were in a strange study. There sat the master of this library, the great old witch and her Michael. Vergilia gave a deep and elegant bow. Vergilia really was Beato's mentor and guide. Yeah, look at that. And I think Vergilia is Kumasawa, like for real, which was hinted at before. I think she probably worked at Kuadorian for a while. It is the greatest of honors to be in your presence. Lady Featherine Augustus Aurora, the majestic witch of theater-going, drama, and spectating. Hi, Tyresha. How you doing? Raise your head, child of man. I shall give that child the privilege of using my library, however she likes for a time. They're both the best, too? Yeah. Yeah, they're both quite good. Raise your head, child of man, blah, blah, blah. For a time, Angie, my Michael. You will need to see her to her needs. Sure. As you wish, my master. You know, you could just say, let me read your story. Miko of the Witch of Theater Going. I leave Beatrice in your care. Hi. Pleased to meet you. The Beatrice you're trying to become was suffering from something, in her own way. At the very least, you've been released from that for the time being. Will you really go on a journey to regain those shackles? My Michael? Yeah. It's the French bread brain rot. Yes. I want to become the Golden Witch. That is the reason I was born. I, the Endless and Finite Witch, Publius, Virgilia Mero. I wonder if these are anagrams of things. I'm very bad at anagrams. I, the Endless and Finite Witch, Publius Virgilia Mero, ask that you make this journey through purgatory a pleasant one, granting her your protection. Huh? Let it be known that as the Miko of the Witch of Theater-going and the Endless Witch and Apprentice Witch of Resurrection, I, Angie Beatrice, do humbly accede to your request, or whatever. Featherine snorted. So, you also bear the name of Beatrice. That's right. I know a lot about you. Please teach me. What kind of person was I? Sure. And I want you to teach me. Why did you become the person that you were? Speak. In this library, the fragments showing the tales of all your games up until now are stored as books. By reading them, you should be able to learn everything that has happened before now. By reading them, can I become a Golden Witch? So this makes sense to me. I think in Kuadorian, there was almost certainly a library. I think that's a fair assumption. And I imagine most of the children born to be the new Beatrice were forced to read these stories. And they might even be crackpot stories that Kinzo wrote up. But, you know, they were forced to read all these stories about how to become like the witch that Kinzo remembers. Which, again, as I say all this, Kinzo totally subs in for Battler. So maybe in being the game master, maybe in being the game master here, Battler is taking on the role of Kinzo. Again, Kinzo in the past. Kinzo 20 years ago. Battler's taking on that role because she doesn't really say Battler anymore. She says Kinzo, or father, excuse me. She says father or master pretty much every time. So maybe Battler with that cloak on, that is Kinzo's cloak too, is playing the role of Kinzo as game master here and essentially telling whoever's watching, well, his goal in this game is to prove that he learned the truth. That is his goal against Erica and Baron Castell here. His goal is to prove that he learned the truth. So in what better place to start than the birth of Beatrice? So this girl is the girl that grew up in Kuadorian that eventually Rosa saw die over the cliff. Perhaps. Maybe not, or maybe the next one. The one that was birthed after Rosa saw this girl go over the cliff. To become a Golden Witch, one must solve the Epitaph of the Gold, and this trial cannot be skipped, not even by Beatrice herself. I'll do my best, so please let me read the books in this library. As admirable as ever. Why are you so set on ending up like that again? I do not know what I was like then. However, if that me can be of use to Father, I want to become it. Angie sighed resignedly. No words would stop this girl's feelings of respect. Angie was the Miko of the Witch of Theater-going. She could do nothing but watch over the stage. That's right. They weren't actually interfering with the play. This was just a bit of directing, to shine the spotlight onto the tale of Beto's past. Even this was nothing more than the Witch of Theater-going watching a play. If you read, you will learn what kind of person the old Beatrice was. However, you must decide what you will take from that experience. You are free to stay in this library, or leave it, or return again later. In exchange, I will watch your play. You'll watch my play? Basically, it means you can do whatever you want. Thank you very much. He likes it when you call her Featherine. Thank you very much, Featherine. After being welcomed in by Featherine, Beto left on a journey to discover herself. Big. The tale connected the old tale with the new one. It wove them together. The 1,000-year-old tale about her returned to its starting point, becoming a snake eating its own tail. Ouroboros. The ring of that snake began slowly, bit by bit, to turn into the shape of a small island floating on the sea. And that was Rokkenjima. The 1,000 years of the witch born on this island were tied to the island. Was it 1,000 years? Or just 6? Or did this tale even start further back into the past? Beatrice went on a journey to find herself. Dawn of the Golden Witch. This is very deliberate by Battler. This is part of the 6th game, is Beatrice finding herself again, so that Battler can show that he knows the truth. The wind had been strengthening since a while back. The breaking waves had grown fierce. The ferry boats probably wouldn't be coming for a while now. Familiar. The crashing thunder that the island had been sealed off from the outside world. A thick rain poured down. And mocking the fools outdoors who had to rush pathetically to find shelter. No longer would anyone be able to leave this island. No longer would anyone be able to reach this island. No one, unless blessed with a miracle. There was another flash of lightning. The retinas of all who saw it were filled with white. As that white faded away, an eerie shadow pulled itself up amidst the raging waters of the beach. As though suddenly remembering to do so, it coughed violently several times. Erica? Filthily spitting out the seawater that had filled its stomach. She then tore apart the touch fastener of her life jacket and threw down the reason she had been able to float here without so much as a thank you. Oh, it's time! It's like the vape guy. Minty! Welcome to the storm. Same as always. Very good. Yes, come and entertain me, Battler. She is back. We knew she'd be here, though. Chapter end. Probably be able to do 2 more chapters tonight, I reckon. I'm going to take a break on this one. I got to use the bathroom, refill my water, as usual. Actually, I'm working from home tomorrow. I might even be able to squeeze in 3 chapters. This girl is on a mission. She has a purpose. Far from the pleasure boat Eternal made to mid-cruise in the waters near Rokanjima. Blah, blah, blah. She managed to drift the island unharmed. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well. Okay. BRB. Gonna run an ad. And then we'll do at least 2 more chapters, maybe 3 more chapters today. News of the drifter, Furuto Erika, quickly spread across Rokkenjima. Erika had been welcomed in politely, and it was decided that she would be treated as a guest until the typhoon passed. In the dining hall, Gota's wonderful dinner had ended, and everyone was relaxing and enjoying some after-dinner coffee and cheese. Apparently, Battler was a bit relieved that Erika had come and turned into a good scapegoat. It drove away some of the attention he'd been getting piled on him for finally coming back after 6 years. In fact, she turned out to be very talkative. When the conversation turned to a sophisticated discussion of the mystery genre, even the adults were drawn in. She was apparently so well-versed that even Nanjo, who had a vast knowledge of the subject, was impressed. Good point. A strange family in a western mansion on an isolated island during a storm. Now that we have a detective stopping by to take shelter from the rain, we've got all the major factors lined up. Have no fear. No matter how difficult the crime, I will solve it. That's a detective's job. How reassuring. It almost sounds as though you want a bizarre crime to occur. I hope I don't have to play the part of the victim. Here, you mustn't say such things. Well, the history of the human mystery genre is only about a century old. Its tricks and ideas are limited to a few recycled patterns, so there's nothing left to show. No matter what kind of impossible crimes or closed-room murders might occur, it'll be nothing more than one of the same classes of tricks, dressed up to look like something new. The only reason mysteries still make for popular books today is because self-proclaimed fans, those who work off pieced-together knowledge and who have hardly read any of the classics, mistakenly think that a classic trick they didn't know about, through lack of proper studying, is actually something new and surprising. Everyone couldn't help but gape at this imposing claim. If an aged critic had said it, that would have been one thing. But to think that a young person like this could say it so boldly. Mystery is a genre that ended half a century ago. At least, as far as I'm concerned. However, thanks to countless ignorant fools, I get to play my part as a detective. By that argument, wouldn't it mean that romance was perfected back in Shakespeare's time, so everything after that isn't worth reading? Exactly. So if you just read Romeo and Juliet, it's the same as having understood all of romance. So true. That's ridiculous. It's not like there's any need to read more books than everyone else just for its own sake. But on the other hand, you can't be so satisfied with just a few stories like that. Sticking to classics of the past and never reading anything new is a sign of excessive nostalgia. Don't you think? It sounds to me like the excuse of an old person who can't be bothered to read more. I see. I guess I'll need to read at least as much as you, or else I'd probably lose in an argument. Me? I don't read books. Battler chuckled, but Erika knew from the previous game that Battler was actually quite an avid reader, so his words felt like more of a challenge. If you're so confident in your reasoning abilities, you must be really good at quizzes and puzzles, right? Oh, right. Maria, didn't you bring your quiz book or something? Ooh, I brought it. Realizing that Erika's arrogant statement had made the atmosphere a little more tense, George smoothly changed the subject. Battler actually can't read. It's true. By now, it is more than clear that she wasn't the cute guest she had appeared to be. Maria pulled a book out of her bag that had quizzes and puzzles written on it and started reading them to everyone. It looked like it might turn into a peaceful quiz party. That sounds fun. But of course, this isn't what happened. As a credit to all her big talk, Erika managed an impressive ratio of correct and immediate answers. She took complete control, and her bragging began to escalate more and more. George slightly regretted the choice he'd made when changing the subject. Madge. "106 matches. No need to even write a tournament chart for it." The question, how many matches would you need for a tournament with 107 teams, was answered instantly by Erika. Oh, so now you're a TO too, huh? This is less of a puzzle than it is a test of knowledge. There's a formula which shows that the number of matches is always the number of teams minus 1. Well, if you just look at the example showing 3 matches for 4 teams, and 7 matches for 8 teams, it should be easy to figure out the pattern. Ugh, Erika, that's awesome. Erika One-chan, right? Say it. Erika One-chan. That's awesome. Really impressive. So you don't call yourself a detective for nothing. I couldn't very well act the part of a detective if I was incapable of handling puzzles of this sort. Incredible. I'm sure you'll be able to become a real detective in the future. Well, I'm pretty sure I already am one. The cousins all thought about the answers to the questions, but Erica always answered first. Rosa thought it was a bit rude for Erica to say the answers out loud while people were still thinking, instead of keeping it to herself. Okay, now make it double limb. Okay, now make it Swiss. But since Erica was a guest, she decided against mentioning it. In truth, Erica was perfectly aware of this when she answered the questions instantly. Each time, she would grin broadly, as though saying, "You all still haven't solved such an easy problem?" She's just the worst. A great detective like you really shouldn't need to take those too seriously, right? Good point. Even though these are just childish questions, I was getting a bit too serious. I'll take more care. Let's have the next question, please. Alright, I won't lose this time. Maria, next question. You have one large piece of cheese. A single slice with a knife can split it into 2 parts. So what is the lowest number of slices you can make to cut it into 8 parts? Ah, this is a cool one. 3 is the answer, I believe. Cut it in half, and then stack those 2 halves on top of each other, and then cut down those. And then you have 4, and then stack all those on top of each other, and then cut down those. Trying to think if there's a better way. I think it's 3. Oh, I know this one. So I guess I'll stay quiet this time. George, acting like the adult that he was, set up a mood that would prevent people from answering right away, even if they knew the answer, in effect sending a warning to Erica. It seemed that Erica understood, and she averted her gaze, snorting derisively. Now, I'm sure this is important as well. You have one slice can cut it into 2. What is this in reference to? To make 8 pieces, 4 slices would be enough, right? That's dumb. It would hardly be a puzzle if that was the answer. That's right. These are usually set up so that a smaller number than you'd expect is the answer. But still, how exactly could it be done? Oh, I got it. You can only do this because it's cheese. True. If you tried to do it with a birthday cake, there'd be a huge fight. That's right. You might be able to do this with cheese, but you'd never cut a cake like this. Huh? All of you know the answer? Damn, am I the only one who doesn't? Oh, I've got it. Yeah, you've got to think 3-dimensionally. Oh. Wait, even Jessica? I don't get it. What should I do? I know the answer. It's written right here. You didn't know the answer until you looked, right? Get it, Battler? I see. I understand as well. This is something you can do because it's cheese. Even Dr. Nancho gets it? Could it be? Am I the only one who doesn't get it? I'm sure even your brain could be as flexible as cheese if we cooked it a little, Battler. Isn't it something like use 0 slices with a knife and break it apart with your hands, right? That's not it? Of course not. It's impossible to cut this cheese without anything other than a knife. Think of the cheese in 3 dimensions. If that's hard, it might help to draw a picture on a paper napkin. So we have 1 large piece of cheese. Then we use a knife to make 8 pieces. Can the knife only cut in a straight line? Yes, that's right. The knife only cuts in straight lines. 3 cheese chests. Here's a hint. You can only cut in a straight line, but you're free to cut wherever you want. Try thinking of a bunch of ways to stick it in. You should probably try to think out of the box a bit. Show us what you've got, Battler. You have a large piece of cheese. How many times must you cut it with a knife to make 8 pieces? You could obviously do it in 4. Could it be done in even fewer than that? Our hints so far point to it being possible specifically because it's cheese. If it was a birthday cake, you really wouldn't be allowed to do this. Yeah, I think it's what I said, right? 3? Cheese. Something you can do because it's cheese. Oh. I got it. I was totally tricked. This isn't something you could think up if your mind's all stiff and rigid. Seems like you finally hit on it. Hopefully it actually is the right answer. It's impossible to cut the cheese with anything except the knife. The knife can only cut in a straight line. There aren't any other rules, right? Not really. Alright, then that's gotta be it. Ooh, that was a tough one. Almost like a riddle. You just gotta get beyond cutting straight down from the top all the time. You make 2 cuts from the top to get 4 pieces. And if you keep it like that and cut across the side, splitting it in upper and lower halves, you get 4 times 2 equals 8 pieces. That's effectively the same thing. So this is obviously alluding to closed room murders, where there's another angle that's not being considered. Gotta think about what that might mean. It's an answer you can't reach unless you think 3-dimensionally. In other words, the correct answer is 3. Huh? Really? Oh, did he get it in 2? He might have got it in 2. I thought the correct answer was 1. Oh, 1? What kind of magic did you use? There's no way in the world you could manage it with 1. This isn't a riddle. This is just a normal math problem. Oh, really? I thought of the 3-cutting method right away, but I figured that was too easy, so I guess I tried to twist it too far. Battler's answer is smaller than the one in the book. Is Battler right? Yes, he is. Okay, you only need 1 slice. Let me think. 1 big piece of cheese. You can get it into 8 pieces with 1 slice. Okay. How about this? There's only 1 slice. You're bringing the knife down in 1 slice. But then you hold the cheese and and you pull the cheese up through the knife to cut it. And then grab the cheese after it's been cut. The knife is still coming down in that same slice. But then you move the cheese under it again in a stack of 2. And then it cuts again. And then you grab those 4 pieces. And the knife is still moving. And you move the cheese under there again. Technically, the knife has only made 1 cut. In a manner of speaking. That certainly would make cake eaters angry too. Yeah. Kind of works. Damn. So it's not that. I wonder what it is. Let me think. Knife can only make straight cuts. You have a big piece of cheese. I was thinking a knife with a convenient amount of holes in the blade and using the flat side to cut it. Ah. Yeah, that would probably work, right? It would like separate them as you were slicing it. Using a different knife. Battler's right. The correct answer is 1 slice. Oh! You fold the cheese. If you fold the cheese, it works. If it's a big piece of flat cheese, not like a Parmigiano Reggiano. If you fold the cheese, you can do it in 1 slice. Battler was happy that someone had confirmed his answer. However, at some point, Erica's face had lost its cheeriness. To think that a human other than myself would give the answer 1, and that it'd be you, of all people. Your answer was 1 too, Erica? I guess you were also thinking out of the box. After all, it would be truly foolish to simply assume you knew what shape it was, after hearing that it was a piece of cheese. That's impossible. Oni-chan got it wrong, didn't he? How would you cut into 8 pieces with less than 3 slices? Yeah, I guess also if the cheese was shaped like, say for example, the number 3, with like a whole bunch of, you could get a whole bunch of pieces off of it. How foolish, child of man. It says to cut it into 8 pieces, but nowhere does it say they have to be of equal size. That's still impossible. Do you cut it with something other than a knife? The rules say that only the knife can cut it, and that the knife can only cut in a straight line. However, to turn it around, the rules do not say anything besides that. Yeah, if it's like a flat slice of American, you can just fold it on itself and twice and then cut. In fact, the shape of the cheese is never specified. I see. When you all heard a large piece of cheese, you thought of a flat cylinder, like a camembert or something. I was thinking about sliced cheese, like the kind you might put on your... Oh, thank you. Usually I have my mouse over here. Thank you. I was thinking about sliced cheese, like the kind you might put on your toast for breakfast. Because, you know, full blocks of cheese you'd cut with a knife aren't something I come across that often. The shape of the cheese isn't specified in the rules. A mistake by the ones who made the book. I imagine that there's a picture of a flat cylinder of cheese there in Maria's book. There is. Right here. As Erica had guessed, the book Maria held in an illustration had a piece of cheese, just as Erica had described it. With cheese of this shape, 3 slices really would be the correct answer. You cut it in a plus pattern from the top to make 4, then cut it from the side. However, since this illustration hasn't been shown, the interpretation of the cheese had been left to the answerer. That's right. At that moment, the problem was stated. No one said anything about how the cheese was shaped or how flexible it was. Exactly. It seems that Balor was the more flexible one, when it comes to both brains and cheese. I don't get it. How does making sliced cheese let you cut it into 8 parts with a single knife slice? Why not try it with that paper napkin? Pretend it's sliced cheese. Like this. You fold it accordion style. How many times do you need to fold it to make 8? 6. You fold it accordion style and you alternate between upward and downward folds. Oh, yeah, okay. This would work too. Once you've done this 6 times, it looks like the side of an accordion. With normal cheese, it'd break if you tried to fold it like this. But the rules say that the cheese can't break unless you use a knife, right? Yeah, no problems there. After all, this is a magic cheese that can only be cut with a knife. After folding it, if you start at the top and make a cut right down the middle, you're right. It would make 8 parts. Wait a sec. The parts aren't equal this way, right? All the questioner says was to cut it into 8 pieces. They didn't say anything about them being equal. Well, if you change the way you fold it, it is possible to make them all equal sizes, but I wouldn't want to confuse you stiff-headed people with that explanation. For a while, everyone was stunned. Balor had reached a far better answer than 3 by thinking of the problem as a riddle. Erica had already known both answers and had even spotted a mistake made by the book. The others could do nothing but stare at those two in surprise. Incredible. So we were the stiff-headed ones. What an utter defeat. This might have to do with the epitaph, how the epitaph gets solved. You have to look at it from a different axis. Or it might be the closed room mysteries. Or it might just mean in general, how we look at things. We were thinking in 3 dimensions, but it looks like Balor and Erica were thinking in 1 dimension higher. It seems the game with the witch has toughened you up quite a lot. Puzzles without specified rules. In other words, all things not covered by the red truth are left to the observer's interpretation. It's the most basic of methods for constructing gaps in the witch's closed rooms. What are you talking about? Is that a quote from some novel? Well, let's call it that for now, shall we? Anyway, I guess that means that everyone's brains are as stiff as rock-hard cheese. Without any signs of restraint, Erica looked at everyone and laughed sarcastically. Only Maria didn't notice the venom in that laugh as she happily turned to the next page. Ooh. Wow, is that? Yes. Then on to the next problem. You have 3 cups and 6 coins. Split up the coins so there's 1 cup and 1 coin in 1 cup, 2 cups in another cup, and 3 coins in the 3rd cup. Okay. Wait a second, that's easy. Just stick 1 coin in the first cup, 2 in the next one, and 3 in the last one, and you're done. However, can you do the same thing with only 5 coins? Here's another... Oh, I know the answer to this one already. You stack the cups. I already know this riddle, and I already know the answer to it. I've not seen it before, but I know where this is going. You stack the cups, baby. Here's another clinched problem. Don't tell me that you'll need to waste several precious seconds on a problem like this. By now, Erica was gazing around with an unpleasant look. acting in a manner that was completely inappropriate for both a guest and someone of her age. She was no longer a guest who would be staying until the storm passed. She had transformed into an annoying guest who wouldn't leave until the storm passed. Everyone thought this, but they were unable to say it aloud. Oh, right. Speaking of problems with coins, I've heard that picking up coins is a good way of judging someone's skill with chopsticks. Chopsticks? Yes, chopsticks, that's right. Chopsticks are the most elegant utensil on the planet. Poking things and chopping them up with forks and knives is so barbaric. Get a load of this weeb. She's so pathetic. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, hold on one sec, sorry. Okay. She's literally the worst? Yes. Whoa, raid. Literally everything you say is just garbage. Rika, thank you for the raid. Hi, raiders. Welcome, welcome. My name is Rysair, tournament organizer and VTuber. Hope you all are doing well. Hello, hello, Mecha Glacier. Hi, Rika. How was your stream? Thank you for joining. We are currently playing...
She's goth purple
Peak.
Velma. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. This is just Velma, but if she was purple.
Valhalla, more Peak. Peak, clipping into Peak.
I'm waiting for you to vent your worries.
2064
Otherwise,
read-only
you'll just...
memories. Oh, is that another
You're
VN?
Revis, aren't you?
I saw you were playing VLR. Did you end up finishing that? Because that is like one of my favorite stories from the last year or so. VLR was so good. ZTD, on the other hand, maybe not as good, but also quite good. 2064 is another was recommended me after finishing Valhalla. Hell yeah. Yeah, I didn't finish Valhalla myself, but it was definitely one that I enjoyed while I was playing it. Doing VLR on weekends, you're only like 20% through it? Okay. Yeah, I can say pretty confidently that 999 and VLR and ZTD were some of the best experiences that I had last year. It was so good. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to finish Umineko before Climax of Night, because I want to play the Umineko fighting game with all the French bred folks. But it's all spoilers in the fighting game, so like you have to finish the entire VN series before you can play the fighting game. Yeah. So that's what we're on. For those just joining, if you're not familiar with Umineko, it's Peak. Go read it. We are like 30-something streams into this series. This is episode 6 of 8. Hey, Lid. How's it going? VLR pretty neat. Oh, yeah, you're playing 999 as well, right, Lid? 999 is so good. It blew my mind. 999 was incredible. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Good, good. The puzzles in that are actually like super fun too. Snake, my beloved, yes. Okay. So if you don't want Umineko spoilers, be warned. I'd be using the calc, short for calculate. Dude, the calc short for calculator is so funny. I don't know where it originated. I first was exposed to it from a Yu-Gi-Oh streamer. Shoutouts to MBT, hilarious guy. But he was playing a deck with the calculator, and he kept calling it the calc, but then clarifying, if you're not sure, calc is short for calculator, chat. That was the whole bit, and I'm sure it comes from something else, but that was, yeah, I think that's so funny. So yeah, spoilers galore. In fact, this screenshot is a spoiler. So if you're not trying to get spoiled by Umineko, you are welcome to leave. Or if you got to go take care of yourself, absolutely do that. If you want to see Umineko from the beginning and don't want to play it yourself, I have it entirely on my YouTube under the live tab. We have all, this is episode 33 of Umineko, and it'll probably be about 50 or 60 by the time I finish. So Heck yeah.
私の箸使いこそが芸術
For me, using chopsticks is truly an art. I'm dipping to avoid spoilers. I might just watch your playthrough so I don't have to do it myself. Have a good stream. Absolutely, Rika. Thank you for the raid. Take care and hope to see you soon. And yeah, if you do watch the playthrough, I hope you enjoy. This is a very special visual novel series. Jessica was about to say, aren't chopsticks just sticks? But stopped herself just in time. She realized that it'd be best to let George take control for now. I have a coin here, so would you like to challenge me? I'm pretty good with chopsticks. That's right. We trained George very well with those. Oh, we're not going to hear the other riddle? Damn. Indeed. Table manners are a window into one's upbringing, and Erica uses them quite well herself. I'll lend you some coins too. It'll probably be more fun with more of them.
Jessica,
Watch closely and learn. Coin! Alright, let's go. Let's see who can move the most coins over to their plate. Bring it on. Chopsticks. Chopsticks. Dude, I need to make a lower tier for her. I don't understand. She was in JFC tier, which was below non-appearing characters, and I still need a lower tier for her. This time, George had steered the conversation into a good direction. Everyone else understood, and they helped egg on the chopstick fight and change the subject. They were fully aware by now that Erica was extremely proud of her intelligence. And apparently, she had the bad habit of using that to look down on other people. That reminds me of a couple people that I know. She spun her chopsticks around with the deft hand of a juggler, staring the coins scattered on the table like a dog who had been told to stay after a meal was placed in front of it. Where's this gonna go? That is the real question. The unsettling sound of the wind has now blended in with the sound of the rain, mimicking the howl of some monstrous beast. Just when it seemed to be crying out sadly, it would suddenly turn into a roar and rattle the window, striking up even more fear and unease within me. So this is the mystery person who is locked in this room. This could be Battler after having failed the game, but it does not appear to be the case there. This could be Beatrice and Kuadorian. This could be Battler and Kuadorian. This could be a mystery person, Mysterious Masher X. Light from the hallway poured in through the thin crack of the slightly open door, and it seemed to carry with it a laughter that was warm and happy, but very distant. I'm sure everyone's in the dining hall or somewhere, having a good time. I want to go there as soon as I can. I'm sure my family will be there. I hate being all alone in a place like this. Dad. Mom. I stubbornly tried again and again to get that door open, but the merciless chain just won't let it open any further than that crack. On the contrary, feeling this close to a way out just made me more impatient. Gulping and trying to ignore the fear lurking behind me, I quietly closed the door. That light coming out of the crack is just a trap, an iron shackle, making it look like I'm an inch away from freedom, though that door will never actually open. A shackle trapping me in here for all eternity. So if this is happening... If this is happening on October 4th, 1986, and this person is stuck in this room, what about that red truth that there were only 17 people on the island? I know Erica changes the number of people on the island. So, does this person only exist in this room in the games that Erica shows up in? Because that red truth about there being 17 people was broken? I need to get out of this creepy room as soon as possible. When I closed the door, all that filled the room were the eerie sounds of wind and rain. The way wind picked up every now and then and shook the window frame felt like a monster in a cage shaking the bars. Because it's raining, so... I was so scared of that monster, I couldn't help but avert my gaze from the window. Gotta search. If I can't get out the door, I need to find another way out. Just to the side of the door was a closet. There was only enough space inside it to hang overcoats. Of course, it didn't connect anywhere outside the room. If this were hide and seek, it'd probably be fun to hide in there. However, inside this creepy room, it'd be no better than stepping into my own coffin. Is this the same room Natsuhi was in to hide in the closet? If I go in there, maybe I'll find myself trapped in the closet next. Yeah, you don't want that. This fear I didn't understand sent a massive shiver up my spine. I closed the closet door in a hurry. There's one door left. When I opened it, there was a bath and a toilet. Of course, there was no exit. There weren't even any windows. I turned on the faucet, water would probably come out, then disappear down the drain and flow outside. But I couldn't get out that way. Could flood it. Could flood it and go through the wall. Unless I went into the bathtub with the stopper pulled out of the drain and smashed my flesh and bones to bits. Yeah, don't do that. I had the feeling this was the only way out. Though the black stopper in the bathtub drain looked extremely terrifying. Why not just run the bath with the stopper in it until it overflows? And then see if, like, you can break through the wall or something. Tried a lot of things, both mentally and physically, but there was really no chance of me getting out through the bathroom. Next is the window. Beyond the window is a pitch black darkness. The fierce winds and rain are slamming against the glass. The darkness on the other side of the window may have been unsettling. But I don't really care where I went, as long as it got me out of this room. However, the window was clamped shut. Right down the middle of the window, which was made to swing open like a set of double doors, were several ugly metal clamps. It was even more unnerving that the chain on the door, like a rough operation scar on some bizarre monster. The wind and rain slammed against the window frame, shaking it and making it creak loudly. However, unlike the door, this wouldn't open even a crack. I've had enough. Give it a rest already. What the hell is going on with this room? Had enough of this creepy room. Enough. 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 It's impossible to go outside except by the door and windows. And compared to that thick door, the window looks like it might be possible to break. I'll smash it. If I swing a chair at it, the glass will probably break. It might even be able to smash the window... the wooden grid that runs through the latticed windows. All I need to do is make a gap large enough to slip out of. I grabbed a fancy-looking antique chair and headed back to the window. Smash it. Over and over. The glass smashed with a violent sound and the frame groaned and creaked. Smash it, over and over. If I can just break through the wooden grid. Damn it, what the hell? Even though the glass had been smashed apart, even though the cold rain that blew in tormented me, I just couldn't get that grid to break. Grid? They weren't iron bars. It was just a slender wooden mesh. Even though it's fragile enough to make that creaking sound, why doesn't it break? No, wait. Maybe it's almost broken. What if I try attacking it from a different angle instead of just smashing it head on? I stuck my left hand outside through the hole in the broken latticed window, grabbed the frame from the front with my right hand, and tried to break it by shaking it from both sides. My left hand started to grow ice cold from the frigid wind and rain. When I shook it, fragments of glass sticking out from the broken frame poked into me, and my wrist was soon stained with blood. Aha! No. Damn it. I thought I had something. I was going to say, the red truth about how many people were on the island was declared later into the story. And so if this person dies here, the red truth could still be true. But if this person dies here, they are not the killer. Right? Like, but if I can just get out of here, this much pain is no big deal. But I can't get out. I'm stuck. It won't open. I can't break it. The more violently I shook the frame, the more the glass fragments tore into my left wrist, causing me intense pain. Wait, huh? Ow, 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 ow. Before I realized that the glass fragments on the frame had extended outwards. It was as though an ugly beast was trying to chew my hand off with glass teeth. It just didn't feel as though they were growing outwards. They actually were getting longer before my very eyes. Ah, and they're chewing my hands to bits. I tried desperately to pull my hand out, but it had already dug deep into my wrist, and I couldn't move it. I put all my strength into it, but it just hurt more and more, and the glass didn't even budge. What the hell? Damn it, let go, let go, let go! I hit the glass with my right fist over and over, but that just hurt my right fist and did nothing but to release my other hand. Just then, my left hand, which was still exposed to the rain outside, brushed against something slimy. What? It couldn't have been a leaf blown about by the winds or anything like that. I mean, it just felt like the touch of someone's rain-soaked hand. Then it closed tightly around my left hand. When I felt 5 fingers, I knew that some person out in the darkness was touching my left hand. And yes, I know who it is. It's the witch. The terrifying witch who rules over Rokkenjima's night. The 2 hands soaked in the freezing rain gently caressed my left hand. However, though I could tell what was happening by touch, I couldn't see anything out there in the darkness. Then, I felt about my fingers and twisted my ring finger upwards. Oh, ow, ow, ow. It's gonna break. At that moment, I saw something in the darkness for the first time. It was white. The darkness grinned and bared its white teeth. Then, that mouth filled with eerie white teeth approached my finger that had been twisted up so far it was about to break, and opened wide. Ah? It must have been laughing at me from the darkness. After all, that creepy mouth was twisted upward in a huge grin. I had a horrible idea of what might be trying to do that to my finger. A shiver ran up my spine. I resisted as much as I could, but the fangs of the glass just wouldn't release my left hand. And then, it gently bit my finger. FNAF jump scare. Flesh and bone were crushed and torn apart in an instant. Crunch, rip, tear, squelch. Splat. And that's happening here? Did you hear something just now? I think I heard it too. It sounded like a clunk. It's probably just the wind hitting a window. This is a beat-up old mansion after all. Yeah, it is pretty creepy. When I was a brat 6 years ago, I remember spending a lot of nights all scared that the witch really was walking around this mansion. So Battler has memories of being here 6 years ago. Now, if this is an act... Okay. You kind of have to assume that the person in that room is original Battler. Right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, though. And then something bit his finger. And, I mean, that could totally have just been like a wolf or something. But he's, like, locked in this room and can't escape. I say he. The person's locked in this room and can't escape. We don't know who it is. Battler remembers walking around this mansion 6 years ago. She exists. Beatrice exists. And we have the red truths that say how many people were on this island. And I guess if in the first 3 games... No, the first 4 games, they said there's 18 people on the island, basically. And we know Kinzo's gone. So in the first 4 games, there could have been an extra person on the island. But I think they might have retroactively red truthed that. I'm not gonna hold on to that too hard. There's something about the number of people on the island that's funky no matter what. So I'm not gonna hold that with too much weight one way or the other. Let's be into this hallway. There are guest rooms there, but they aren't being used now. Oh, that's right. Wait. They set them up in the guest house, not in the guest rooms. Are there people being, like, locked away in multiple guest rooms? Yeah, after all, we have the guest house now. Until then, we would always stay in these guest rooms. Oh? Yeah, I remember too. When I saw the guest house today, I was surprised at how beautiful it was. Well, that's because it was just built. I wish I could move my own room over there. Shannon, Erica's room is in the guest house too, right? Yes. We have prepared a room for her in the guest house. And since the guest house is a good distance away from the mansion, no matter what kind of trouble happens, you can't hear what's going on in one from the other. Yeah. Are you still in detective mode? Sounds like you'll be all bummed out when we wake up tomorrow and manage to say good morning to each other. True. At least one of us had better be gone by tomorrow morning. Right? Allow me to guide you all to the guest house. So, that kind of hints that people are getting locked in these guest rooms. And if there's one special guest room, maybe Beatrice's... Beatrice has a room, I think, actually. From the second game. And if people are in these rooms during previous family conferences as, God, prisoners or who knows what, that would explain why people visiting and the servants would hear people walking around the mansion at night, because it would be the people who are in these guest rooms. The adults were apparently about to begin a conversation that they didn't want the kids to hear. The real family conference was about to start. As the kids and Erica followed Shannon on their way to the guest house, they passed through the entrance hall. It looks like it's pouring down at its hardest right now. Should we watch TV in the parlor until it dies down a bit? Mom said to go back to the guest house. We have to go or she'll get mad. I think we'll be able to relax a lot more over there. Better than getting to see and hear our parents get all pissed at us. It looks like everything's falling into place. Erica giggled in an openly discreet look on her face. I'll go get some umbrellas for everyone. Please wait here. Oh, wait a sec. It's been bugging me for a while. Who's the woman in that portrait? Well, to be honest, I already know that it's Beato's portrait. Still, we only just walked past it in the last game, which is no fun. Erica whispered to herself, but of course no one heard her. This is the master's benefactor, Beatrice. They say she gave grandfather a vast quantity of gold, meaning that she's to thank for the Ushiromiya family's revival. She's just a witch of grandfather's delusions. Supposedly, her ghost walks the corridors of the mansion every night. Hey, quit it. That story always freaked me out when I was little, and it always made the mansion feel terrifying after night fell. Oh, right. That's true. What about now, 6 years later? I'd totally forgotten, but looking at this portrait head-on, I can feel the old fear coming back a bit. Oh, Beatrice isn't scary. At least, as long as you respect her. If you don't... Right, Shannon? Yeah. That rumor does exist among the servants as well. Rumors about servants patrolling at night bumping into mysterious silhouettes or gold butterflies. Yeah. Was it last year or the year before? Didn't one servant fall down some stairs and get badly injured and they quit? Wasn't there a rumor that it was Beatrice's curse? Jessica told it like a ghost story, trying to scare Erica, but Erica just laughed disdainfully. Come on, that's creepy. It was probably just an accident, right? Just a coincidence? It happened just after grandfather had the portrait hung here, so it was probably the year before last. In fact, if I remember, this here's the staircase that servant fell down, right? Yep. After all, this insanely huge portrait really stands out. Shortly after it was put up, everyone was talking about what it might be. And then, when the accident happened shortly afterwards, people started calling it her curse. So these ghost stories about Beatrice started after the portrait was put on display? No. Rumors about Beatrice's son's ghost walking around were around even before then. However, I do think those stories grew in number after the portrait was put there. Before then, even though they had heard about the witch Beatrice, they didn't have an actual distinct picture in their head of what she'd be like. I imagine that this portrait made the picture distinct for them, strengthening the rumors even more. So, who started talking about this Beatrice in the first place? Grandfather. He'd always start freaking out and yelling. The Kinzo impression. Though, until we saw that portrait, we had no idea what she looked like. It's no surprise that you get one or two ghost stories with a creepy portrait like this hanging around. You always find ghost stories cropping up around things like a portrait of Beethoven in the music room, or the statue of the school founder. True, it wouldn't be strange for a few ghost stories to arise, in an old, gloomy mansion with the sound of wind and rain present in the background for so long. Well, it's nothing more than a ghost story, a delusion, a fairy tale. Worth less than the useless drivel of a half-sleeping nitwit. Erica looked up at the portrait and smiled at it hostilely. As though she felt the smile was disrespectful to Beato, Maria's face soured. Ugh, Beatrice exists. If you say things like that, you'll definitely feel the curse of the witch. Oh, how frightening. Please, curse me if you can, Beatrice. So if we find you mysteriously dead next morning, we'll know it's the curtain raising on a witch's murder case. Well, you're a detective, right? Wouldn't killing the detective off in the beginning be a bit too radical? Oh, that would be troubling. That would get in the way of the crime scene inspection. I see. After all, even the Nox rules don't prohibit the detective from being killed. I have just what you need. It's a charm that'll protect you from Beatrice's curse. Charm? You have a charm for something like that? After fishing around in her bag, Maria pulled out a string of beads attached to a medal that had a scorpion drawn on it. It looked like a cheap prize from an arcade. What are these? Oh, they're magic-repelling charms. Their effect is very weak, but if you use them, you'll definitely be able to avoid Beatrice's curse all night long.
他にも
I've heard that spider webs are also useful for repelling magic.
おおベアとは
That's probably because Beato is the incarnation of a butterfly.
あれ
Aw.
それは悪事
Wasn't that evil spirit of
じゃなかったっけ
Akujikishima that were weak against that?
熊沢さんが
Kumasawa knows a lot about that sort of thing.
魔女に
Witches
悪霊
and evil spirits. This is getting a bit interesting.
よかったらゲストハウス
Would you mind telling me about it in more detail when we get to the guest
話を聞か
house?
せてもらこちらが皆さん
Here are the umbrellas.
外はまだだいぶ
It's
雨
still
が
raining
強い
very hard outside, so please take
お
care.
気をつけください
Shannon headed out to the umbrellas she had brought. Everyone headed towards the exit. And then, when there were none left standing in front of the portrait, a gold butterfly appeared. It expanded into the golden splash, becoming a human. In the hall, empty now that the children had left, Beato stood alone and silent, looking up at her own portrait. Without a doubt, the figure depicted there was as like her as an image in a mirror. However, it felt as though the eyes and expression were just a little different from hers. From her perspective, while the person in this portrait was almost infinitely close to her, it was just as surely a different person entirely.
あなたは
Who are you?
私に
Please tell me what kind of person you
ど
are.
うかあなたという
Beato
人
had
を
already
教えて
finished
ください
reading the fragments from Featherine's library, which showed the tales of all the games so far. However, the witch called Beatrice had been depicted in them, had been so vastly different from her. At the very end, it had looked as though the witch and battler had connected just a bit as rivals. But for the most part, Beatrice had just bullied and bullied Battler in nearly all of the tales. Even though this was about her, she had no idea why Beatrice had tormented Battler so much when she had supposedly been born for his sake. And all she had learned from Featherine's library was that the former Beato was a completely different person who defied understanding.
あなたに
What happened to
私
you?
はあなた
I am
の
an egg of you,
そして
a
姫
chick.
あなたの翼
Your wings should have existed for father's
それ
sake.
がいつ
Just when did you have one of those torn off and end up so drastically
変わり
different?
果ててしまったのです
One-winged. She had listened to the conversation Battler and the others had just been having. Beatrice can't handle scorpion charms? Beatrice can't deal with spider webs? She would have wanted to touch either of these by choice, but it wasn't as though anything terrible would happen if she did. Was being perfectly fine when around those proof that she wasn't Beatrice? Even though this involved her own self, she didn't understand at all. So she quietly gazed in her own eyes at the portrait, felt as though the truth behind those eyes. Beato slowly approached the portrait and then touched it. When she did, it felt as though the portrait rippled slightly. Yes, this is a doorway. A doorway to the long path that will lead her to the Golden Witch, Beatrice. Beato felt a bit dizzy. She lost her balance, feeling as though the world was twisting around her. Then, when she couldn't tell which way was up or down, she was swallowed downward. Plunk. I love Super Mario 60. I thought the same thing. With a soft watery sound, Beato was sucked into the portrait. She skidooed into the portrait. The world inside the portrait was pitch black. However, there was nothing unsettling about it. It was a comfortable darkness, like when you put your head under the covers in bed at night. Beato realized this was a world inside herself. So despite the darkness, she felt a warm embrace. As long as she asked for nothing, this world would ask nothing of her. But she wouldn't remain like this. She didn't want to spend eternity inside the darkness of this world. Yes, I need to hatch out of my egg. This darkness is the shell surrounding the gold butterfly called Beatrice. I will be born for father's sake. I will be born to live for father's sake and to serve him. She does say Battler Oni, so she is saying Battler's name. She took her goal, her reason for being born, and put it into words. As if a response to those words, the seal on the shell began to melt away. Cracks appeared in the darkness, and a brilliant light enveloped the world. Called a fragment. He's in the sea. And so Beatrice was born. Huh? Huh? There I stood, along with another me. For a second, I thought that the me in the front of me was the real Beatrice, the one I wanted to be more like. However, she was looking back at me with the same bewildered eyes. So I realized that wasn't quite it. That's right. I wasn't the only one born from that egg. She was also born. VOD review? I can do a VOD review. I'll probably do it after we get to the end of the chapters for today. Or I can do it at like the start of the next stream. She my twin? No, it feels a bit different. How can I put it? Both of us are lacking something and immature. Yes, both of us are chicks, but we are also fragments of the true Beatrice. It felt as though we could become the real Beatrice together. No one explained this to us. However, we naturally understood. I decided to talk to this other me. Unless I get to know her and become one with her, I won't be able to become the Beatrice Father desired. In other words, the thing the Father wants from me, and was so heartbroken to find missing, must be something that she has. Hello? The Beatrice with her hair down looked at me dubiously several times, then finally spoke. Why is your face the same as my own? The true Beatrice also spoke in that manner. It looks like she really does have something that I lack. Well, I don't know why either. I am the Golden Witch Beatrice, the elder sister. A mysterious witch who existed before the rule. She has the same name as Beto, but wasn't even given the goal of devoting herself to Battler, the final version of the witch sealed away by Kinzo. She spends her days pulling small pranks and clearing away magic-resisting toxin, all for the sake of her resurrection. She is similar to the evil sparks of Akuji Kishima in many ways, such as her fear of spiderwebs. She is the one who gave Shannon the golden butterfly brooch. Okay, she's the one from episode 2. And you are? I am also Beatrice. I was born for the purpose of serving Ushiromiya Battler. I am the Golden Witch and the ruler of Rokkenjima's Night. I know of Ushiromiya Battler, but I have trouble imagining why I should have to serve a brat like him. I realized that the thought I'd had a second ago must have been true. Together, we really can become the true Beatrice. Though the person in front of me does have the part that makes her a witch, which I lack. She does not possess the mission to live for Battler's sake. She has what I do not, and I'm sure I have something she does not. We must be two, and yet one single person. I think we're something like twins. No, that's not so. You are my little sister. I have been here since long before you were born. Huh? Is that so? I was born later. So, does that mean the mission to live for Ushiromiya Battler's sake was born later on? However, I don't think my whole existence is something quite as faint and intangible as a mission. I have enough of a personality to think and act as I am doing now. So the witch Beto and I are separate people, with both of us possessing something the other lacks. In that sense, maybe it's fitting for us to call ourselves sisters, as she says. I want to know about you. I also wish to know. I understand that you are also me. Why is it that you speak that way? And why must you serve Battler? Until we grow to understand this, it seems both of us will remain immature. I want to become a complete Beatrice. Until you were born, I was complete. However, now that you have appeared, I believe that accepting you is my fate. I also wish to know about you. The witch Beto's tone was very slightly arrogant, which filled her self-proclaimed status as the older sister. However, since we both realized that we were the same person, there was no need for her to be a bully. You probably realized that, after meeting me, her current form was no longer her real self. Where are we? Is this the hall of the mansion? Oh. Beto gasped. Her portrait wasn't there. Did this mean that this was at least 2 years in the past? Precisely. This is the hall of the Ushiromiya mansion. The night is my time, and the nighttime mansion is mine as well. That fool Kinzo is still so desperate to catch me or revive me. How truly ironic. Here I am, openly ruling the mansion every night. So, what do you do here? I have lost my body, and due to the effects of that hateful shrine, I have no magical energy. However, My power is reviving bit by bit every day. That's right, she had Shannon break the shrine in episode 2. I can't wait to eventually undergo a spectacular resurrection and have a good laugh at Kinzo. I can't wait to tell him that I've succeeded in escaping from his cage. Simply put, I'm a ghost, killing time by wandering about night after night, with nothing to look forward to besides teaching that old man a lesson. May I join you? Of course. After all, you are part of me. How could the left hand refuse the company of the right? Why should I refuse? I shall be pleased to have you, my little sister, the new Beatrice. Thank you very much. One-sama. A somewhat embarrassing name, but it's not bad. Come, let's go. Let us take a walk through the nighttime mansion. Let me introduce you to my boring, everyday life. The two Beatrices changed their form into two gold butterflies, flitting silently into the depths of the shadowy mansion. Alright, what's this video you want me to watch? I'll pull it up now. Before we get into another chapter.
私は今でもそうなんですが、うっかり屋さんで。I only know these characters' names because of the One Piece TCG. But I do recognize these. It's called Garp's Galaxy Impact. So Garp is in the TCG. He's kind of a meme deck, but he has to do with Luffy, Sabo, and Ace. I think he like trained them or something. I guess he works for the Navy. Oh, this is animated really well. Oh, he's going. Look at his walk. Oh, they're all dead. What is this, like Pirate Island? Oh, is he just gonna destroy the whole island? The soundtrack hits too. Oh, that's the kid from episode 1. Oh, he's about to kill everybody. Yeah, they know it. Oh, Kobe's in the Navy. Aw. You are all dead. This is animated beautifully as well. Holy. Eek. Oh. Oh. How does it not friendly fire? I mean, I feel like Kobe got smoked there too. Right, and then Garp versus Kusan.
Kusan is a card that's kind of problematic and not problematic, but kind of powerful in the card game. He like eats people every. Oh, okay, this is the aftermath. I guess this is the only guy to survive the nuke. Iceman? He's so cool. Lord Garp. He's all he can do is punch, but it's so effective. He's walking again. You know, I've really come to like the art style of One Piece too, where like the bodies are super warped and like all that and wide, but like it works so well. He is wide. All right, Snowball. Oh, you're dead. Tideholder Claymore. Okay, so he he trained him too, I guess. Yeah. Guy's a beast. I can see why one of my Grand Archive friends plays this Garp deck. And I can see why. This character is so cool. Kinzo function? I like the One Piece fights aren't like giga long either. They really get to the point. Oh, he's walking. All right, dead person incoming. Do not mess with the goat. Hey, you got nowhere to run. I did not know Kuzan had ice powers though, because his cards are all about just like he's like creature removal in the One Piece game. So I had no idea he had ice powers. Oh, you're blue hole. You're dead. Yeah, you can try. And do more property damage. Look at his neck. His neck is so giga wide. All right, not dead, but follow-up attack coming. Yeah, goodbye. Just dead. Hanger hits. Thank you, autoplay. Those are sweet. Garp seems like a really cool character. Again, I know him a little bit from the card game. Where he's like largely about like searching for the three kids, Luffy, Sabo, and Ace. And then some of the other Garp decks are just like standard. I think he's like red-black in color. So he's like aggressive, but also removing creatures, which I think that fight makes for a good case for that. Back then, I was, and I guess I still am a bit of a klutz. I always forgot where I put things, or think I'd locked something up when I'd actually forgotten. Sorry, you have wide chance. Caused a lot of trouble. I remember how Aunt Nazi used to get mad at you all the time. But eventually, Shannon managed to overcome all that forgetfulness. Oh, and how'd you do that? It wasn't anything big, but I got into the habit of writing things down. I'd write down wherever I put something important. For things that happened often, I made a checklist and always made sure to check it. So, did you see Beatrice or didn't you? Huh? I didn't see her directly. He's Luffy's grandfather. Oh. Yeah, he's Punch Man incarnate. Which I think is hilarious. But well, some very strange things did happen. They really do make characters look cool as hell in One Piece. The art style inherently is so goofy, but they really make the characters look like cool as hell. Oh. She was talking about a certain summer night. Shannon had been doing the nightly rounds. From her perspective, it was a ghost story. From the witch's perspective, it was just a story of a little summer night's prank. Sorry, Shannon's talked about this too. Little sister, do you understand the anti-magic toxin that humans possess? No. What is it, One-sama? I can see why also Aura Dude called this the most Umineko episode. Because just, I mean, look at what we're looking at. Well, the time of witches has long since passed. The most vile humans who claim to rule over everything came to deny our existence and possess a powerful toxin. Is that toxin harmful to us? It is extremely dangerous. If we were exposed to it, our forms would probably evaporate in an instant. However, one thing we do have in our favor is the fact that our existence is still extremely weak. Because of that, the toxin does not affect us greatly. At worst, it can only transform us into mist for some time. However, we'd rather avoid it if we can, right? Correct. Sonotori. I see that you are indeed me. You catch on quickly. The older sister appeared to be haughty at first, but perhaps because she was so happy to have met her double and little sister, she was more than willing to teach her anything she wanted to know. The first thing she taught was that they were witches, a different type of being than humans. Beto had thought her inability to use magic meant that she wasn't a witch, but apparently she was still a witch nonetheless. And she learned that witches like her were bound by various limitations, unlike humans. The greatest of all these restrictions was the anti-magic toxin possessed by humans. In other words, we mustn't enter a human's field of vision. So witches are almost like urban legends, I think. And the more that they're doubted, the less they exist. Correct. You could think of it as though humans' eyes radiate the toxin. If they see you, it's the same as your body being burned, and that effect is weaker. Being heard or sensed can also result in contact with the toxin. So even just getting close to humans is dangerous to us. You just have to believe. Wasn't Father a human? Why am I not burned by Father's toxin? If we stock up magical power and have it acknowledged by humans, that toxin can be reduced drastically. In other words, by having our existence acknowledged by humans, we make them lose their toxin, making it possible for us to appear before them once more. I see. Simply put, as we are now, we can only exist when humans aren't around. We are still very lacking in magic power, which makes us inferior to even a stray cat hiding from humans in the shadow. The main goal of the older sister was to gain a large supply of magical power and be revived as a great witch strong enough to have no fear of the anti-magic toxin. For that purpose, she had wandered around the mansion night after night, striving to regain her magical power and reduce the anti-magic power of the humans. The powerful previous Beatrice, whom she had read about in Featherine's library, had appeared openly in front of humans, and had even toyed with them at will. According to her big sister, such a level of power was most impressive. To think that a witch could appear openly before humans and use magic at will. A witch like that would be so great, even I can hardly imagine it. That's what I will eventually become? Yes. She was like a witch from a picture book, appearing openly before the humans of the mansion and summoning magic and underlings at will. How inspiring. If that is our future, it means that all of our hard work will have been worth the effort. That's right. Anyway, One-sama, how is that goal connected to going around unlocking windows like this? It was the middle of the night. They were following behind servants who were checking the locks on the doors and windows, and undoing those locks after the servants thought they had been set. It felt more like a child's prank than a work of a witch. This is the path that leads to becoming a great witch. All journeys begin with a single step. For those who cannot understand, the first step might look quite foolish from time to time. However, it is still a momentous first step. It is actually a big first step. You have to get people to believe that a witch is doing the small things. And then you can get them to believe that the witch is doing the big thing. With pride, as though making a first step for mankind on the surface of the moon, the older sister undid the lock on a window with a click. Do you not understand, little sister? Can you not see why a little thing like this is so momentous? No, One-sama, I don't really understand. The older sister closed her eyes lightly, smiled, and opened the unlocked window a crack. Cool outside air flowed in, making the curtains flutter. Let us put in the toxin-filled words of a human. We are not supposed to exist on this island. I shall go further. Right now, there is no one in this corridor. And yet, the lock has been undone. and the window is opened. Can you see how great a miracle, a work of magic, a proof of our existence this is? Even you should understand the coolness of this breeze. I do understand. It's nice and cool. The coolness, the softness of the breeze, and the feel of the fluttering curtain touching your hair. All of these things show that we truly are here. So, by unlocking the window like this, we can leave behind proof that we really did exist. And that is why I unlocked it. Of course, it wasn't just small pranks opening like a window. You could also smash windows and vases or leave behind strange fires and mysterious scribbles. In fact, one time, she actually did play a large-scale prank in the kitchen, piling up kitchenware in an eerie manner and leaving behind a bizarre scribble, which scared the servants considerably. It was a complete success. She'd really managed to scare the servants and had succeeded in making them acknowledge the existence of magic, weakening the anti-magic toxin. However, she usually chose to make her presence known by unlocking windows. The act of unlocking symbolized her release from the limitation posed by the toxin. One day, we will become a single witch and rule all over Rokkenjima. When the time comes, we will gain complete freedom and will be capable of stretching our wings as we please. We won't have to be afraid of anyone's gaze anymore. We will be able to fly wherever we wish, disappear whenever we want, laugh however we like, prank however we like, talk with anyone we want to. Humans might ask things of us from time to time. They might fight with us or play with us too. What wonderful things for us frail creatures who cannot appear before anyone to look forward to. What does LOL mean? Right now, they are a little more than pranks. However, as they pile up, proof that we exist will begin to gather. The servants already call me the witch, Beatrice, master of the night, and are beginning to believe in me bit by bit. The more they believe, the more those humans will lose their anti-magic toxin. I see. So this means the father has no anti-magic toxin, and that's because he truly believes in the existence of the witch I am, without any doubts. Finally realized that, though I thought him to be cold, Father does possess a kindness that can't be seen. I'd like to become a great witch and appear in front of everyone soon. Indeed. Eventually, we will be able to appear openly in front of anyone. By doing that repeatedly, we shall make people believe in us even more. And eventually, we shall display even our magic for all to see. At that time, we shall descend upon Rokkenjima as the great witch you told me of. I hope they get to do that. The logic of the witch's side is quite interesting. It keeps me entertained. It does sound credible in a way. When humans are frightened to hear that they've entered a ghost hotspot, they're likely to start yelling "ghost" at the drop of a hat. That's right. At a fundamental level, all phenomena are neutral, indifferent, and dull. If you want them to be viewed in a certain way, you must first create a suitable environment. If a person has charisma, people will interpret what they do in a positive way, even when they screw up. I guess in that sense, the Beto's small efforts aren't misguided. If it was just the mansion's locks being undone, everything could be resolved by saying that someone forgot to lock it up, or that it was some kind of prank. However, the rumors of a witch wandering about the mansion night after night slowly began to take shape as the existence of the witch. An environment was established so that, if anything strange happened in the mansion at night, it would all be viewed as the work of the witch. Get it? If you follow that reasoning to an extreme, then what you get is no different from a witch existing in the mansion at night. After the Beatos finished their mischief of unlocking and opening the window, they enjoyed the coolness of the wind and the brightness of the moon, then became gold butterflies and disappeared into the darkness. What if Jessica is doing this? Trying to think of somebody who would actually be able to do this, go through the house unlocking the windows at night. Wouldn't that be Jessica? And then that reminds me of the third game where Jessica went missing. Was Jessica the one that shot Nanjo? It can't be Jessica who killed everybody every time, right? Because she died in 2 of the games. I wonder if Jessica did it. I don't know why she would do it. A little bit of chaos in the witch world. There was no way of knowing whether the window they had opened had actually been opened by them. The servants might have forgotten to lock up. Or one of the family might have opened it after the servants had locked up and forgotten to shut it again. Or maybe someone had played a prank. In the same way that none of these possibilities could be denied, it was also impossible to deny the possibility that a witch really had opened a window to enjoy the night breeze. Now that I think about it, Game 5 had the least casualties. Yeah, because the epitaph got solved. There's also... So there's also a world where George and Jessica did it. To be with Shannon and Cannon, which is like... Again, I don't think that's a great reason or a great motive. It's a motive that makes sense. But... George and Jessica maybe wanted to run away with Shannon and Cannon. I don't know why they would kill their whole family over it, though. I don't know. As a result without an observer can possess an endless number of ways in which it might have occurred. Humans who can't grasp anything more than a single possibility are unable to imagine everything. However, people who believe in the possibility of a witch can imagine that it was a witch's prank. When that happens, the scene of Beatrice's prank that we have just seen is etched into the fragment as fact. That's one of the foundations of magic. Embellishing the process. With just a little magic, even a mass-produced stuffed animal can be reborn as a wonderful, unique stuffed animal filled with a mother's love. If you doubt it, it'll be burned by anti-magic toxin. If you believe it, that magic will become the truth. I love that. I love that philosophy. I want to carry that with me further. Not all magic is bad. Maria was right. Good magic exists too. It may be necessary for a child of man to possess the power to repel evil magic. However, refusing to burn away and defile love-filled magic is part of how love in the human world works. Well, good magic is the only kind I can forgive. For all other kinds, the best remedy is to deny them and burn them away. A typical answer for a child of man. Getting back to the point, knowing this much, I guess that means that the ghost Beatrice, who is called the ruler of Rokkenjima's night, doesn't really exist. It's nothing more than a general term for any inexplicable occurrences that take place in the mansion after dark. In other words, Beatrice isn't the name of a person, it's the name of a phenomenon. Yeah, we've talked about that possibility too. In the fighting game, Erica and Delaenor were close to winning with the Nazi theory, but Jessica, along with Shannon, had the idea of using a palette swap to resemble her mother so that Erica can lose, wrecking the entire Nox commandments as a result. Huh? There's a story to the fighting game? If anything bizarre happens, it all becomes the work of the Golden Witch. The environment in which a witch could exist is what Beatrice is. That keeps building on itself until we reach 1986. This is the veil that the true culprit is hiding behind. And the person hiding behind it is without a doubt a human. Yeah, depending on which character pairing you make, it will affect the fighting game story. Oh, that's cool. Perhaps that holds true at this point in the witch's table of the past. However, I doubt you can use that argument alone to fight all the way through 1986, don't you? We might have to play through the fighting game on stream. Ridiculous. Wasn't that obviously because someone forgot to lock up? There's one where Beatrice introduces Delaenor to Yaoi. Holy. Well, you may say that, but But this isn't something that happened once or twice. In other words, you're a klutz, a fool, and a moron of a servant who forgets to check not just once or twice, but more than once? Shannon isn't the only one. That same window was always open, even when other servants did the rounds. Yeah. Mom even asked me if I'd ever left the window open in a hall at night. I had absolutely nothing to do with it, but she still got pissed. I'm sure Beatrice wanted to gaze at the moon. It's a bit creepy to have it happen over and over at the same window. And that time when the kitchenware was piled up in the kitchen, with a creepy magic circle scribbled there, sounds even more freaky. Yeah. They said it was an eerie magic circle drawn with something like blood. Ever since then, people have been scared to patrol the kitchen. About the case of the eerie magic circle in the kitchen, who witnessed that? It wasn't me. I think I heard about it from a servant kid who quit. I wasn't on duty that day. So it's basically like this. Just like those exaggerated stories you hear about haunted locations all over the world, you servants like to have a little fun telling ghost stories about nighttime at the mansion, right? You talk as though witches exist and infect others with that belief. So, all of the eerie things that are supposedly done by Beatrice are baseless rumors, which either are the result of a coincidence, an accident, or something that someone fabricated for fun? Is that what you're trying to say? Exactly. Of course, there's no way Beatrice exists. Beatrice exists. I'm glad you understand so well, Battler. There's probably some person by that name, or else multiple persons of a fixed or unfixed number who do things and attribute it to that name. However, this delusion of a golden witch Beatrice that we're all thinking of is completely impossible. Oh no, Maria's freaking out. Beatrice exists. I've met her. Oh, could you tell me about that in detail? You met Beatrice? And did she show you your magic or something? Stretch, sure. Ugh, I see her all the time. Every time I come to Rokkenjima. And she always shows me fun magic. Denying the existence of the witch would always have the immediate effect of infuriating Maria. However, Erica, who didn't know this trick to avoiding Maria's fury, plunged into it head on. But no matter how Maria tried to sell the idea of Beatrice's existence, she stood no chance in defeating the ruthlessly intelligent Erica in an argument. George and Jessica hurriedly tried to calm Maria down, but there could be no quelling her anger at this point. So, she showed you magic. Could you explain in detail what kind of magic? She would always use magic to give me candy as a present. Beto can create candy with magic. She just took it out of her pocket, didn't she? No. It was magic. It was incredible. Tons of candies poured out of an empty cup. Wow, that's some awesome magic. That's right. That really would be magic. Yeah, it was magic. It really was empty. I checked inside it myself. Ah, the old stacked cups trick that they alluded to earlier. What do you mean you checked inside it? Give it a rest, Erica. She's just a kid. Come to think of it, Erica, would you like some more No, thank you. I'm having a seriously intellectual discussion of this. Dude, she is Reddit tiered, dude. She is a Redditor to her core. Imagine being 9 years old and saying a logical fallacy. Oh no, the sound alert didn't work. Let's see if I can get it to go. There we go. Yeah, imagine being logically wrong. I'm having a seriously intellectual discussion over here. You outsiders can stay out of this. You'll have to tell me in more detail, Maria. What do you mean when you say that you checked inside it? Fortunately, we have right here with us a teacup that's just been overturned and emptied. Come on, be my guest and reenact what happened then. Let's see it if you would. After holding the cup of black tea, which she had just overturned and was still dripping, upside down over the table, Erica slammed it down hard and slid it over to Maria. Erica's eyes glowed repulsively, like those of a snake about to snap up a frog. Those eyes were ice cold and had a madness in them that made one want to avert their gaze. On the other hand, Maria was glaring furiously, her whole body shaking uncontrollably in the greatest expression of anger that a human can manage. The look on her face was frightening, not at all what you'd expect from a 9-year-old girl. Stop, both of you.
ベアトリーチェはね
Okay. Beatrice took the empty cup, and then she did this. She put it upside down on the table.
それで
Maria Trice's here? Yeah, and then what? Did she lift it up right away and candies flowed out? Incredible. That really would be magic, right? It would be.
それなら
Battler and the others tried to get between the two and calm them down, but it was no use. They violently pushed aside the others, and glaring at each other from so close that their foreheads banged together, they repeatedly slammed the upside-down cup on the table. The sound of their foreheads banging together and the cup being slapped down shattered the barrier between reality and illusion. Whoa. It is magic. Beato used magic to make candies appear. Then why don't you reproduce it for us?
マリアージュソルシエル創立者
When
にして
founder of Mirage Sorcière, Maria, the Witch of Origins. Lady Erica, this opponent is not worth your time. This battle is not worth fighting. Yeah, what is happening? Shut up, murder doll.
この伏せたカップ
Okay, how do you claim that overturned cup was filled with candies?
カップをひっくり返したって
Whoa.
キャンディー
Just turning the cup over won't make candies come out, because you have to use magic. Beato can use magic because she's a witch. Oh yes, magic. She used magic. How did she use magic?
魔法のステッキを振るって
Did she swing a magic wand and tap the cup to make candies pour out?
違い
No, that can't be it, right?
ベアトは魔女だから魔法を使うの
Being mean to Delanor is an F tier trait, 100%. Beto is a witch, so she used magic. We gotta put the hydraulic press videos, yeah. Like, for real, this character is, like, irredeemable. Beto is a witch. She used magic. Magic happens when you say an incantation and cause a miracle.
生み出す魔法
You can't use the magic that makes candy unless you say the incantation.
はいはい
Oh, sure, understood.
グッドですグッドグッド呪文を
Let's see the incantation. Let's see this magic. Come on. What kind of incantation would a witch use?
さあさあ
Come, try to picture it. The inside of the cup is filled with candies. Try and picture such a wonder. Oh, then what? Look, the inside of the cup is filled with candy. Maria grasped the overturned cup so tightly that it nearly cracked and slowly lifted it up. Then, from the inside, several cute candies poured out. Maria looked at Erica with a full smile as if to say, that showed you.
これがベア
Good,
トリー
and this is what you'd like to call Beatrice's magic, is it?
ドラ
Delanor!
ノチヤね
What? Beat her to death.
御意
As you wish.
ベアトの魔
I
法
won't let anyone deny Beato's magic. Because magic is magic.
魔法なんて
Magic is impossible.
あなたが
You might be telling a lie about something that never happened. Oh, she's blue truthing her? Oh my god, she's a child. Repetition demanded. Failure to respond would be a violation of Nox's 7th. Ah, I'll respond. Oh, okay, she knows what she's doing.
だよ
This is the truth. This is a story of something that really happened. So, if we think back to the cup riddle that they actually didn't solve, you remember when they said, how can you split the coins among the cups equally? And the answer is you stack the cups. So if you stack the cups on top of each other and put 2 coins in the top cup, there'll be 2 coins in every cup, even though there's only 2 coins. So in a similar manner, if you put the candy stacked under the bottom cup, you could use sleight of hand to make it appear as though the candies appeared. This wouldn't have anything to do with a trick in the actual cup or table, making it just sleight of hand, right? And there you go. That would be against the rules, wouldn't it? Hidden devices and tricks are in violations of Nox's 3rd. However, if and only if foreshadowing has been presented, these are permitted by Nox's 8th. Foreshadowing like the cup riddle? Cheers, mate. I love this story. Nox's 3rd prohibits hidden doors and devices that have no clues pointing towards them. However, by presenting foreshadowing and clues that point toward the existence of said devices, Nox's 8 allows them to be used.
そんな細工は
There was no tricks like that. It was just an ordinary table and an ordinary cup.
だから手品じゃない
So it was magic, not sleight of hand. Not in red.
了解です
Understood. By Nox's ninth, we acknowledge that Lady Maria witnessed magic because she's not the detective and observers are open to interpretation. It's amazing that I like have this decalogue memorized from the last episode. That's right, with the ninth at least. Observers are always allowed to speak their personal opinions. Otherwise, mysteries where the culprit is seen dressed up as a woman and it's written, "I saw a woman," would all be disqualified. Sure, that's fine. Claim you saw magic all you want. All truths are nothing more than claims. So I'll make a different claim and see straight through yours to the truth. That's the detective's duty and where we shine the most. There's nothing to see through. This is magic. Since it's magic, only witches can use it, right? That's right. Only witches can use it. So if a human like me could do it too, that would mean it isn't magic, right? You can't use it. Only Beto can use magic. Oh god, the face. Then why don't I show you? I'll make candy appear out of this empty cup. If you think you can, just try. Impossible. There's no way a human could do it. Then please, please, please just relax and watch. Here we have an empty cup. Is that okay? It is, isn't it? Then we turn it over on the table like this. Let it be known that this fight has no purpose. Yes. Someone said it. Me arguing on the internet. Hey, can you say the incantation for creating candies? In fact, why don't we say it together? Come, try and picture it. The inside of the cup is filled with candy. Try and picture such a wonder. Maria, why did you close your eyes when you said the incantation? Why not witness the miracle of magic? Humans are polluted by the anti-magic toxin. If a lowly human saw it, the miracle of magic would be wiped out of existence. That's why the rules say that lowly humans have to close their eyes when using magic. I see, okay. I understand the protocol for humans to follow when magic's being used. In other words, not once have you ever witnessed the moment that magic happened. Is that right? Look, it's done now. Please try and lift the cup, okay? After all, I've used magic to make candies appear. There's no way someone who makes fun of witches could use candy magic. Then, if it actually does work, it'd be pretty amazing, huh? After glaring at Erica with the utmost of malice, Maria slowly stretched out her hand towards the overturned cup. There was no way that Erica, someone who made fun of witches like this, could ever use magic. There was no way that there'd be candy there. So, how's it look? And there lay a single candy with a cute wrapper. See? This is magic, right? A look of disbelieving shock rose to Maria's eyes, along with the envy of this person who could use the same magic as Beto. Erica, you can use magic too? See? It's magic, isn't it? What I did there. Yeah. So in other words, Erica smiled pleasantly. She and Maria had finally reached a deep understanding. I hate her so much. Of course it isn't. While you had your eyes closed, I just lifted the cup and tossed the candy in. You call that magic? It's just a third-rate trick. There's my blue truth, as the detective. Now as the witch of truth, here's my red truth. Your so-called candy magic is nothing more than a sleight of hand. Just a sleight of hand that a fake witch calling herself Beatrice, or whatever, claimed was magic. I mean, seriously, did you really get fooled by such a stupid parlor trick? Any magic related by your perspective can't be trusted at all. Oh wait, any magic relayed by your perspective? Related by your perspective can't be trusted at all. Everything you ever thought was magic was just a trick you didn't get. There's no way this was magic. There's no way magic exists. Blue barrier? Sakutaro to the rescue? It might have been sleight of hand when you put candy in this cup, but that doesn't prove that Beto's magic was also sleight of hand. However, you also can't prove that only magic could have done it. You rotten stuffed animal. That didn't have to be in blue. Please, allow me to speak.
無用の勝負
Know that this is a meaningless battle.
この紙切れどもが
Goddamn scraps of paper.
いいところで
Why'd you have to
邪魔を
butt in at the good part?
これで十分です
Scraps of paper. Are they representations of the scraps of paper left indoors to prove that they stayed closed? That's enough. Lady Maria has been showed that the candy cup could possibly be a trick that she misunderstood to be magic. Therefore, her claim that it was magic is dismissed.
でもマリアの
However,
時は
it might have really been magic when Maria saw it. Just because it can be done by sleight of hand doesn't disprove magic.
エリカ卿
Well done, Lady Erica. Congratulations on crushing Lady Maria's illusion of the witch. An illusion of the witch occurs when someone tries to force the acknowledgement of magic by claiming that a thing that would be impossible without it. How witches launch an attack. If someone's able to successfully argue back and show that it would be possible without magic, the illusion of the witch is defeated and the witch must retreat. The magic Maria claimed to have seen could have been a trick, so it was unqualified to be acknowledged as magic. However, that was truly the result of this battle. It was still too early to bring the fight into the domain of denying Beatrice, the witch, and the magic that Maria believed in. However, battles always end instantly when your opponent surrenders. Erica had wanted to hit Maria with everything at once, defiling the witch and the magic that she believed in, and crushing it without a fragment of compassion.
あと一
Just one more step and I'd been able to take a heart as innocent as smooth sand just after a wave pulled back.
ズタズタ
and tear it to
叩いてやれ
bits.
たの残念です
What a shame.
今日が冷めました
This isn't any fun anymore. In the gambling game, there's a lose and win scene. This fight is one of them where Erica can win or Maria can win, launching different wedges. That's
こ
cool.
れで満足
Are you satisfied now? I would play the hell out of an Umineko slot machine or pachinko machine. That would be so much fun. Erica grumpily punched Eleanor's arm that had been restraining her. However, that cold, hard, marble-like arm just made Erica's head hurt.
が
Diplomatic immunity. This battle is over.
金慶
Allow me to speak.
外交官
Diplomatic immunity accepted. Know that this fight is childish.
何か言い
Did
ま
you
した
say something?
何も
She did not. Let us withdraw. Lady Maria is no enemy of yours, Lady Erica. There's no need to pay any attention to a small fry such as this.
そうです
You're right.
子供の夢を
How childish of me, tearing a kid's dream apart.
私本当に
I'm really sorry, okay?
私にして
I
は
apologize for my momentary lack of elegance.
行きましょう
Let's go. Erica and the others turned their backs on Maria, who was still crouching down limply. However, as detectives and famous mysteries have always done in the past, Erica clapped her hands, stopped, and turned around.
そうそう
Oh, that's right.
いかがです
What do you think?
ただカップ
Simply by the existence of the overturned cup, this level of reasoning was possible for Furuto Erica. What do you think, everyone? Boo. Erica's merciless words gouged themselves into Maria's hearts once more. Erica left, leaving an evil laugh behind her. So rude. After bowing to Maria and Sakutaro, Delanor left too. Gertrude and Cornelia followed suit. After that, only Maria and Sakutaro were left in the lonely Golden Land. How did Sakutaro get here?
リュウ
Uryu.
ベアトは
Beto is a witch.
リュウ
Ryu.
ベアトは
Beto's a
魔
witch.
女だよ
It was magic. It was magic.
魔法だよ
It was magic,
ベ
yeah.
アトは魔法で
Beto used magic to give you candy. You don't need to doubt that.
リュウベアトを信じて
Please believe in
魔
Beto.
法は信じなくて
Honestly, this fight, the fight in Game 5 really captured why Erica is like those that are new to... Yeah, that's actually a great way to, like, show what a piece of shit she is. You know what magic can't bear fruit unless you believe. I hate when Maria cries. Surrounded by an ice-cold drizzle that had started falling at some point, Maria quietly cried. Trying at least to protect her from the rain, Sakutaro used his large sleeves to cover Maria's head, and stayed there by her side. Thing. Okay, let's go, Maria. Let's play cards together in the room upstairs. Erica, as an adult, I can't say I was very impressed by that conversation just now. Get her ass.
すみません
Get her ass. My apologies. I'm still just a kid after all. After seeing that wonderful candy magic brutally insulted by Erica, Maria had been crying nonstop. I started noticing as soon as the after-dinner quiz party. But your personality really is screwed up. Do you think this is fun? Do you like tearing a little kid's dreams apart? Please stop, Battler. Please, for my sake, don't push any further here. For my sake? Please. Shannon, who had been... Oh, right. Because she wants George to propose to her. Rachel from Friends ass. Shannon, who had been looking flustered, bowed her head deeply and implored Battler to stop. George, who didn't want Shannon pressured, fell in line. Battler, yeah, like Battler, come on. Like, taps watch, looks in both directions. Sakataro does appear in the fighting game as an assistant summoned by Angie, where he can either running slash an enemy or trip and perform a body slam. That's adorable. Let's go. Let's spend the year in the cousin's room again. We can watch TV and play cards. I've heard that Erica has her own room. Shannon, please guide her there. Oh, no need to bother yet. I'll relax down here for a little while longer. I want to savor it a bit, and you want to make sure that no one else comes into the guest house. What the hell are you trying to savor? Battler and the others could no longer hide their irritation. They had no obligation to entertain their uninvited guest any further than this. Erica herself understood perfectly well that no place would welcome a detective. Battler and the others wanted to leave, and Erica wanted to stay. Neither had any desire to stop the other. Jessica urged Maria, who was still crying, to come along. Then Maria stopped and spun around. Got a problem? Oh. They do exist here and there. Humans who are practically lumps of the toxin and don't believe in magic. There were lots of boys like you in my class. They don't believe in witches, or magic, or miracles, or happiness. You can't become a witch if you let the toxin of people like you burn you to ashes. I may not look it, but I'm Beatrice's disciple. I'm the apprentice witch of origins. Maria, who had been quietly crying a second ago, seemed to have been transformed into an entirely different person. She laughed, no, cackled eerily. Battler's group stiffened up at the sudden change, but Erica was watching calmly. Then she smiled and gave a small nod in response. Good. You've got some guts. Good night, Miss Maria. Let's fight in a more challenging game next time. Sure, let's. It's a promise. You stop that too, Maria. Come on, let's go. What about you, Shannon? Come with us if you want. Play cards. Come, join us at least for one round. It'll cheer you up. Then just for a bit. Shannon couldn't remain in the suffocating lounge any longer either. In part apologetic and in part trying to escape, she followed after Battler's group. After that, Erica was the only one left in the lounge. Still wearing a thin smile, she tapped a glass with her finger. It was a light clink, a surprisingly boring sound. Even so, Erica wore a thin smile as though pleased. Strange. Oh, sorry to keep you waiting. I was just in the bath. Oh, where is everyone? You just missed them. They went up to the second floor. I'm the one who called you here. I've heard that you know a lot about the story of Akujigishima and the tale of the Witch of the Forest. Yeah, well, it is a trivial story, but I don't mind in the slightest if it's trivial. Would you like a drink to follow your bath? Even I like to be helpful every now and then. Erica stood up, opened the refrigerator behind the counter, and put ice into the ice pail. She's having drinks again in the lounge. Is she trying to get the staff drunk? So they missed something? Yeah, I think I can do one more chapter for tonight. Erica, huh? She's an odd kid. Somehow, I just can't seem to get along well with the young kids these days. Olge. You're still pretty young yourself, George. I guess it's because I've always been the oldest of the cousins. It's always made me feel like I'm not one of the young ones anymore. This is Erica that we're talking about here, the type that would even duct tape the windows in a storm. Yeah. She will do anything to win. George and Shannon could be seen standing in the rainy rose garden. Though the rain was still pouring down, there was hardly any wind at all. The scant protection provided by the arbor was more than enough to house the secret meeting between lovers. Following that fight with Erica, they had decided to play some cards for a change of pace. When that was over, Shannon had returned to the servant room, and shortly after that, George had left his room to meet with Shannon at the time they had arranged. I think kids around Erica's age have a hard time getting along with themselves, more so than any other age. That's true. Around that age, most kids are so determined to free themselves from the shell of childhood that they lash out in all directions with their beaks. When they do break out, they'll finally be free to stretch their wings and fly high. I was like that too. My old self, still trapped inside that shell, was a weak, deplorable person who I couldn't really respect. That's not true. No, it's okay. I realize it myself. Back then, I might have been the oldest of the cousins, but I was still a lazy, hopeless person. And it wasn't just with cousins. At home, at school, I was like that everywhere. I hated being like that. I wanted to break that shell and become a splendid adult like mother and father. But in the end, you did break out of that shell, George. Every time I met you these past few years, you've grown beyond recognition. Thank you. Did something cause you to make up your mind? To break out of my shell? Yeah. I can't imagine that you grew so rapidly like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon by just wandering around aimlessly. I thought there must have been some turning point that made you become so determined. Fell in love with you and grew thanks to the power of love. Is what I've told you so far. But the truth is, the turning point was a much more negative emotion. No way. It's hard to believe that someone who's always bright and cheerful could have negative emotions. Well, my parents brought me up to treat women with care, and I thought that I'd managed to live my life that way. Yeah, I think you're wonderful. A real gentleman. But I'm not actually. I didn't know how to interact with the opposite sex. I deified them excessively. And though I always behaved in a gentlemanly, ladies-first kind of way, I was probably outright afraid of interacting with girls. Of course, George would want to be around girls as much as any healthy boy might. However, he didn't know how to interact with them. He wanted to act like a gentleman, to avoid being disliked by them, treating them with care. Oh no, George, no! Of those feelings, only the words treat women with care took precedence, blossoming into a subconscious fear of women. You might call a man like that gentlemanly. Yeah, I would use that word exactly, probably. Or a late bloomer. Ridiculous. I was just a coward. Because of that, I started to wonder why I couldn't get a girlfriend if I was so gentlemanly. George, no, get off the forum. Get off YouTube Shorts, George, no. And I eventually came to the conclusion that all women in the world had no taste and started to hate all of them selfishly. George, no, not the incel pipeline. That's what a truly pathetic man looks like. How many years ago was it when I noticed? Probably when I was in middle school. At the time, I assumed that I was obviously the most gentlemanly of the cousins, so I would obviously be popular with women. He slowly became a people pleaser. I have a different word for it, but people pleaser is what some people might call it. However, reality was very different. At school, I was pretty much completely hopeless. Far from being a leader, I was typically a bullied kid who got pushed around by everyone. At the time, I figured I was just capable and adaptable man who could keep in perfect tune with his surroundings. How stupid. Sure, I might have gained some measure of trust from girls. However, not only was there no one who would become my girlfriend, there weren't even any girls I could call friends. Of course, I was a man who always stepped back for the sake of ladies first. So, this is not good, George. This is actually excessively not good. Because you have these behaviors where you're like deifying women and like slowly kind of becoming this incel brother, and now you're dating your servant. This is not a good look. Who would ever want to follow behind such a negative, unmotivated man? It's funny. I didn't even realize this and was convinced that I was an attractive guy. I can sort of understand how you felt. Just because someone puts in a lot of hard work to look attractive to the opposite sex, it doesn't necessarily work out as they plan. George stocks are crashing. Yeah. Oh. Has that happened to you too, Shannon? Of course. One time I wanted to catch a boy's eyes so much, I tried to put on makeup even though I didn't know how, and I embarrassed myself. I remember a lot of embarrassing failures. The person that made me finally get over my conceit and open my eyes was you, Shannon. No, it was both of you. What was the turning point for you, George? Both of you. Shannon the same person? Ava's gonna murder Shannon if she finds out? Well, that's already been discussed, right? What was the turning point for you, George? Both of you. Envy, probably. That's unexpected. But envy over what? I saw you and Battler having a really good time talking. That made me envious. Oh, me and Battler? Shannon raced through her memories, trying to find a conversation that might have made George envious. Probably seemed trivial for you two. However, it still made me envious. I didn't want Battler to hear what I say next, no matter what. Or I don't want him to hear what I say next, no matter what. Can you promise me? Of course. It's gonna be a shameful confession. Still, I want you to hear it. I want to hear your answer tonight. Only after I've told you about my bad sides as well. Okay? Let me hear it. With a smile but a serious look in her eyes, Shannon nodded. Tonight? She knew what he was going to ask her tonight. George had the right to confess before asking that sacred question, and Shannon had the obligation to listen. Shannon understood this, so she listened quietly. So this is what a witch of theater-going peeps into during her spare time. Stories of love are precious at any age. I never tire of them. However, I do find that expression of virgin disgust on your face and even more amusing. Featherine laughed quietly. Angie huffed and looked away, but she quickly realized that this would only entertain Featherine even more, so she tried to act unconcerned. Both Battler and Jessica have always been spirited. No, phrasing it that way was just dodging the issue. Let me be frank. George looked at where the moon should be, high above the rain clouds, and spoke. They were honest words, spoken simply from George's heart. For a long time back then, I thought of Battler and Jessica as bad-mannered kids. No, let me be even more blunt. I thought that even the way they talked was vulgar. It's true. I don't mind if you hold me in contempt for that. I don't. People are allowed to think anything they want inside their hearts. In fact, I think you were all the more commendable for not letting it show on the outside. Thank you. I secretly looked down on those two. I was so conceited that I truly thought it was just overflowing with gentlemanly charm compared... George, brother, we need to get this guy like a beer and like we gotta watch a movie or something. Like he's gotta chill out. It was at that age where having a girlfriend felt like a necessary condition for becoming a real man. I truly believe that if no girl could fail to admire a gentleman who treated girls as well as I did. So I really did assume that the girls I knew were attracted to me. I thought that Battler and Jessica, who always joked around and spoke in a rude, vulgar fashion, would never be able to get a boyfriend or girlfriend. I might have used that argument to distract myself when I still couldn't get one myself. I was a fool. They weren't inferior to me at all. I was the inferior one, with my deification of the opposite sex and my fear, which I hid under the guise of ladies first. That's been Battler and Jessica's personality from the beginning. True, they were rude, and one couldn't have called them gentlemanly or ladylike. However, they did have the power to interact without worrying about gender. In fact, you might even call that their charm. I sort of understand. People like Oni-chan and Jessica can get along with anyone, whether that person's a boy or a girl. I hate to bring it up because of George, but I find people who act too overtly like gentlemen a bit creepy. Yes, they are. It's like they're virgins trying too hard or whatever. When dealing with strangers, people prefer for them to be harmless and boring. However, They only appreciate these qualities because such a person doesn't get in the way. No human would want to hang around with a boring person all the time. Of course. No idiot would want to be friends with an unmoving, unspeaking telephone pole. However, unmoving and unspeaking is exactly what you'd want from a telephone pole. That's it. Seems that George finally discovered that he wouldn't be viewed as an attractive man no matter how superior he was, and that he'd been treated like a telephone pole the whole time. Back then, my conceit was at its peak, so when everyone gathered at the family conference, I believed that I was the most attractive, and that all the servants' girls who played with us loved having me there. On that day, I finally realized how pathetic I was. Did I say something inconsiderate back then? No, it's the opposite. You didn't say anything at all. My conceited delusion that I was the only one ever reflected in your eyes was crushed. When did it start? Oh, it must have started long before then. I only failed to notice because my eyes were clouded with conceit. One day, I suddenly realized it. All of you were getting along with Battler and Jessica far better than with me, playing around and having a good time. Yes, those two, whom I'd looked down upon so much, were radiating far more charm than I was. You really looked like you were enjoying yourself that day. The look on your face was far brighter than any you've ever shown me. Sickening, isn't it? I just assumed that you liked me, and even had some childish fantasy that we might end up dating. I one-sidedly felt as though my girlfriend had been stolen from me, and let myself feel hurt. I was such a pathetic man. That's when I finally realized how foolish I'd been. George. After that, stuff happened, and Battler stopped coming to the family conferences, but I heard about him from time to time from Uncle Rudolph. He's a pretty funny guy. Even though he got in fights with Battler all the time, he always paid close attention to what his son was up to. That's true. He spoke to me about it as well. I think even Asuma was exasperated by it. He thought all of his popularity with the girls at school and the unceasing trouble this caused must have been because of Rudolph's blood. Jessica too. I hear she built up a huge number of friends, both boys and girls, and she was always right in the middle of things. When I talked with her myself, I could see that this was no exaggeration. This proved that the two I'd looked down upon were much more attractive human beings than I was. At first, I tried to imitate those two. It was pretty ridiculous. I thought that by joking around and speaking rudely, I could get that same charm that they had. You did that. A bit hard to picture. It was miserable. I wish I could forget that time for the rest of my life. In any event, I quickly realized that I could never become truly attractive by imitating them like that. The reason I had no charm was because of my cowardice. Under the pretense of respecting people and acting to fit in with the general atmosphere, I was always running away. I resolved myself to overcome that flaw and be reborn. I finally understood the shell I was in, and I swore to break out of it. We've not seen an Asumu sprite? Yeah, it's true we haven't. Every time my determination began to waver, I'd remember that day. The day I saw you two forget about me entirely and play around happily. And the fact that those eyes of yours, which I always assumed were attracted to me, never noticed me at all? I made an oath. This time, I wanted to be the one who caught your attention for real. The one reflected in your eyes. That's actually the first thing I felt when I fell in love with you. Sounds like it was pretty complicated for you. On that day, my desire for revenge against the two of you who had ignored me and played together, no, against you alone, suddenly transformed into true love. However, I swear this to God. This is really interesting. The revenge that I swore on you, my desire for revenge against the two of you, suddenly transformed into true love. I feel like this is what happened with Beatrice and Battler. The resentment that she held for him eventually turned into a care and a love. Again, without love, it cannot be seen. Even though that was the reason I first started to take you seriously, there are no lies in the way I feel about you now. I swear to love you for all of my life. I will not lie about that for anyone or anything. And I am prepared to take you as my wife, even if it means having the entire world as my enemy. George. That's the confession I wanted to make to you beforehand. Before now, I've called you my first love. Love at first sight. That was a lie. It was only my selfish, twisted...
関係ないです。
Hey, that doesn't matter. Shannon smiled, but she spoke forcibly enough to cut through George's words.
初恋じゃなかった。
Is there some rule saying that people can't get together just because they weren't each other's first
初
love?
恋の人を忘れた
Is
ら
it betrayal to forget the first person you fell in love with?
恋ってそんな単純じゃない。
Love isn't that simple.
いえ、
Well, it might be simple. After all, love is
常
easy.
に
At all times, whatever you feel now, only the honest feelings you feel can tell you the right
だ
answer.
から
So,
昔の
things of the
話
past or how our relationship started aren't
何
important at
も
all.
関係ないんです。
Then, confessing to all that was wrong of me? No.
何事も完
I'm a
璧
bit glad to
な
learn that even George, who's always
人間
perfect
臭
at
い
everything,
一面があること
has a
が
human
分か
side
って
to him.
そして
And I'm kind of glad that I'm the only
それを
person you've told
私
this
だけに
to.
打ち
Thank you.
僕は君がいたか
I
ら
was only able to become who I am because of you.
私も
Me too.
ジョージさんがいる
I
か
am as
ら
I am because of you, George.
私でいるのです。だから包み隠さず教えてください。
So, please tell me without holding back.
私たちは
What kind of husband and wife
どんな
will
夫
we
婦
be?
どんな未来を
And what kind of
築くの
future
です
will we build together?
僕は
When I've used my
父
wife,
さんを超える
I will become an even more accomplished businessman than my
そ
father.
して様
And
々な
after several challenges and adventures, I hope to find the limits of my potential. I want to reach that peak together with you.
そこからの
The
眺め
view from there will be something no one can show you but me.
楽しそうです。
That sounds
ど
fun.
こまでも
I'll be with you wherever you go.
もちろん
Of course,
実業家としての冒険だけじゃない
it won't only be an adventure as a
夫
businessman.
婦でしか気づ
I'd
けない
like to create many things that only a couple can make.
それは
And what could that be?
どんなもの。
子供を作ろう
Let's have kids.
はい、
Yes,
旦那さん。
my husband.
最低
I'd like 3 of them at least.
男の子も
At least
女
one
の子
boy and one
両
girl.
方
もし
And what if all 3 are boys?
次こそ
Then the next one might be a girl.
4人目を作ろ
We
う
can have a fourth.
何人いてもいい
Doesn't matter how many.
子育てという
Let's enjoy the adventure of bringing them up together.
そして
And with these children eventually leave their nest, they'll make us some
気
grandchildren.
づけば
Before we know it, we'll reach a boisterous old age, surrounded by a whole crowd of kids and
賑や
grandkids.
かな老後を迎え
楽しそうです。
That sounds fun.
ジョージさん。
I wonder what kind of a
ど
grandpa
んな
you'll
おじい
be,
ちゃん。
君こそ
and I wonder what kind of a grandma you'll be. However, I will always keep loving you. And when we eventually pass away, surrounded by our vast family, our lives will stretch behind us, unmatched by anyone else.
誰にも負けないものとして
George didn't just talk about his love of the present. He swore to love her soul until the final moment when the lid of their coffins would be shut. Then, George took a small box out of his pocket. Even without opening it, she knew what was inside. He took it out with a motion that was even more natural than the one he'd practiced in the airport bathroom, and it was overflowing with masculine charm.
さよ
Tayo?
はい、
Yes.
結婚しよ
Let's get married.
はい、
Yes.
うこの指輪を
Please take this ring and put it on your finger.
はい、
Yes, George.
ジョージさん。
That ring, which glistened divinely even in the dim light of the arbor, passed from George's hand to Shannon's finger. Of course, Shannon had already decided which finger to put it on.
僕と君
I
の
swear to resolutely stand,
全ての
resolute stand, against any fate that may attempt to stand in the way of the future. George proclaimed that he would reveal their engagement to the entire family on the next day.
僕たちの結
My
婚
parents might criticize this marriage. However, I will not let them stop us. I'm going to inform them of our engagement, not ask for permission.
もし母さんが
If mother says that she won't allow our marriage, I plan to have myself disinherited and will leave this family
君と
together.
家を僕には
I've been prepared for that since long ago.
僕たちの未
I
来
swear
を
once again to resolutely stand against all fates that get in the way of our
毅
future.
然と立ち向かうことを
George had said it aloud,
もう一度
so Shannon said the same thing. Me too.
私とジョ
I
ージ
swear to
さん
stand
の
against all
未来
fates that get in the way of our future, George.
毅然と立ち向かうことを誓います。
Term.
バトラさん、いつ事件が始まるんです？
Bandler, when will the crimes
もう
start?
恋愛ごっこ
I've just about had it with this love show.
なんです
黙って
Be quiet and watch.
はいは
They're
い。
fine.
私があくびでもした隙に何かとんでもない
I'd hate to yawn and let some spectacular bit of foreshadowing slip by.
お前には
You have no love?
愛が証拠として
Are there any mystery novels that accept love as proof?
ありません
No,
から
there aren't. Erica laughed coldly and stared down at the two on the game board. Badler watched her quietly. Erica thought she felt a touch of pity in his gaze, and she averted the eyes uncomfortably. This is a story about love.
一応
I do understand, more or less.
愛が
Love can at least become a motive for murder.
一応
I can interpret this scene beneath the arbor to represent a possible motive for the crime if their engagement is somehow impeded. Then again, no matter how much people talk of love with words that aren't read, it's all just an illusion. That's sad. You could never love a human without proof given to you by a witch. Please put an end to this frivolous love talk. I'm your enemy, not a friend whom you can talk about love just for the hell of it. He wishes Beto was here. I can't understand you at all right now. What on earth did you figure out? Weren't you and Beto always insulating and trying to kill each other? Insulting and trying to kill each other, excuse me. What kind of truth could you have reached to make you change your emotion regarding her? Please don't tell me feelings of true love have sprouted from your murderous rivalry, or anything like that, okay? Lady Erica, let us have him continue the game's progression. Boring love scenes such as this are best finished quickly. You've got a point. Sorry for butting in. Come on, let's move on. Telepathically throwing tomatoes at Erica? Hell yeah. It's Shannon. I've come back. Indeed. The log for today has not quite been filled out. Yes, I'll do that right away. Shannon, thanks for keeping an eye out while I was gone. That was a pretty long break. Shannon had already noticed. There was a silvery glint coming from the ring finger of Shannon's left hand. Then I will retire. Please do not hesitate to wake me if anything occurs. Good night, Genji. Genji disappeared off to the waiting room. After that, only Shannon and Cannon remained. Thanks for giving me some time. I'll stay here for the rest, so you can go to sleep now. Look at the picture of the guy on the desk there. Made it to Plat and Magic? Let's go. Big. So, it's my turn next. Yeah. Sorry, but we aren't gonna lose. And I won't lose either. Even though you've always been a coward and let Milady take the lead until now? Wasn't it you who taught me, Ne-san? What was that? The past is immaterial when it comes to love. The present is all that matters. If that's true, then I think my present is in no way inferior to yours, Ne-san. Shannon and Cannon glared at each other with serious eyes. That period of tension vanished when Shannon chuckled. Yeah, that's good. You and Milady have to give it your all. If you do end up together, make sure you build up a relationship wonderful enough that the rest of us can cheer you on with all our hearts. Well, you do have a huge lead on me. There's no helping that. That's what you get for your cowardice before now. I know. That is my sin. I think Battler's dropping all these hints about... I feel like something's going to go wrong in these confessions of love. Possibly. That is my sin. My cowardice before now is my sin. And I believe that's going to be Battler's sin as well. Shannon and Cannon fished around in their pockets and drew out two small things that glittered gold. They looked like the left and right wings of a gold butterfly. We are furniture. In order to become human and receive the miracle that allows us to love, we must rely on a miracle of magic once again. To think that her brooch would actually prove useful. It is the only magic within our reach. It was the golden butterfly brooch, which Beatrice had once given to Shannon in the hopes of creating love between her and George. Shannon then gave it to Cannon, but he let his emotions get a hold of him and crushed it to pieces. So when the wings they held were brought together, it would regain the form of a beautiful butterfly. Then, I'll be back soon. After all, they've asked me to play cards with them. Yeah, good luck. I'm sure Milady will be happy. It's a bit embarrassing. Enjoy that feeling. Embrace the cringe. Cannon left the servant room. He went to go see Jessica and tell her what he had determined to do. Shannon quietly watched him go. A fragment of the brooch and the engagement ring let off a gold and silver glint. That takes me back. That's something I gave Shannon, if I recall. I always wondered if they lost it after Cannon stepped on it, but it seems they still had it the whole time. That's the golden butterfly brooch. I read about it in the magical brooch that can save a love relationship in Featherine's book. This had been the first time that Beatrice, Witch of the Forest, had interacted with a human and given them her power. Bit by bit, she had transformed from a mere ghost to the ruler of the mansion at night, and by making the servants believe in her, she had wiped away the anti-magic power. And then it eventually became possible for her to appear openly in front of Shannon, whose magic resistance had grown particularly low, and who had begun to believe in the existence of Beatrice. To Beto, who had been unable to interact with anyone for many years, this conversation with Shannon must have been especially fun. That's why I generously gave her the butterfly brooch. I was in quite a good mood. It is no common thing for a heartless witch such as myself to be so gracious. But it's wonderful. You brought a pair of future lovers together. Of course, I did not do it to pamper them. It was in exchange for smashing that hateful spirit mirror that had repressed my magical power. Thanks to that, I was able to regain much of my power in one go. I wonder what the relevance of that mirror actually was. But then one night, purple lightning smashed the shrine. Those of the surrounding islands called it an evil omen. Oh, now that I think of it, that must have been a prelude to Beatrice's resurrection. Kumasawa had the rest of the night off. She had let Erika talk her into drinking a bit, and was chatting about the legend of Akujigishima and Beatrice in a happy, tipsy mood. Erika would nod from time to time, but besides this, she listened in complete silence. She was actually taking notes, but she wasn't gathering information on a whiteboard inside her head. But she was, excuse me. Then she frowned as though noticing something out of place and held up her hand. Wait a second. Yes? That shrine was built by a traveling Shugenja monk to seal up the evil spirits of Akujigishima? Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. It was one who possessed a vast supernatural power, and who placed that power within the mirror, and placed it within the shrine as a sacred mirror to seal the evil spirits? Something feels off about that. Why would a shrine seal the evil spirits of Akujigishima also seal Beatrice? Well, that's because the sacred mirror's spiritual power... I see. So is this really a convenient sacred mirror that works both on evil spirits from east and witches from the west? Got it. I'm still not satisfied, but I'll back off there for now. What I don't understand is why Beatrice can't stand spiderwebs. According to the legend, the evil spirits of Akujigishima despise spiderwebs. They were apparently used as wards against evil in the surrounding islands. In fact, spiders are a useful bug. There's nothing strange about the fact that island farmers treasured them. It's very possible that they were then tied to the story of evil spirits and became known as charms against evil, leading to a tradition of people treating this useful bug with care through the generations. But that's just the legend of Akujigishima. The origins for the legend of the witch, Beatrice, came after Kinzo moved to the island, when rumors sprouted about the mysterious legend of the gold, as well as the witch mistress who gave it to him. In other words, the evil spirits of Akujigishima and the golden witch Beatrice were originally completely different things, and yet the stories treated them like they're the same. Well now, the evil spirits of Akujigishima couldn't stand spiderwebs, so neither could Beatrice. That sort of reasoning has been applied all over the place. When it was pointed out that it was strange, Kumasawa was lost for an answer. The doorknob of Kinzo's study has a scorpion circle drawn on it, which represents a charm against evil in Western society. That's why the Western witch Beatrice can't touch it. I can understand that part. But there's no reason for Beatrice to dislike spiderwebs. I don't remember spiderwebs ever being included among things witches can't stand. On the contrary, wouldn't spiders be the friends and minions of a witch? Well, in my opinion, those two legends about the evil spirits of Akujigishima and the witch Beatrice have been mixed together a little. In fact, maybe they've been fully fused together as one. The legend of Akujigishima is a fairy tale created by fishermen fearful of reefs in the Rokkenjima area. However, there was no visual image to go along with them. Were there people, or monsters, or ghosts? There's no mental picture of them. People are bad at imagining things without visuals. That's when the legend of the witch called Beatrice came in. A witch is a lot easier to picture than an evil spirit. And on top of that, Kinzo had a portrait of Beatrice drawn and displayed. In other words, the lack of a visual image, which was the one weak point in the legend of Akujigishima, was finally complete. Since then, perhaps the two legends have been mixed together. Well, I wonder. A bit confusing for an old lady such as myself. Kumasawa laughed to smooth it over, wiping away cold sweat. She might have seemed confused, but she actually did understand what Erika was saying. In truth, she had been vaguely aware of how the legend of Akujigishima, which had been around before Kinzo had come to Rokkenjima, and the legend of the Golden Witch, the story of a woman who had given Kinzo a vast quantity of gold, had been both transformed. She didn't want to acknowledge it, but she knew. The setting where Beatrice hated the spirit mirror and spiderwebs. This had been based on the ancient legend of Akujigishima. The evil spirit part of that legend had just been replaced with a witch. So, if there really was someone claiming to be the Golden Witch Beatrice, I'd really like to ask her whether she actually does hate spiderwebs or not. What happens if she touches them? It's said that witches and their minions receive burns when they touch spiderwebs, so that's probably what would happen. Not bad. A splendid witch trial. If the spiderweb touches and she gets burned, then she's an evil spirit, not a witch. And if nothing happens, then it proves she's just a human. In other words, whether she's burned or not, it will prove that the Golden Witch doesn't exist. The legend of the witch is nothing more than a legend of Akujigishima, reboiled with a new face on it. Well, simply by the existence of the legend itself, this level of reasoning is possible for Furuto Erika. What do you think, everyone? I hate how she looks to the crowd to ask. So we're saying that the legends were kind of the same thing. Well, the legend of the reef to avoid Rokkenjima is probably something similar to the Bermuda Triangle, right? Where it's like... Is Beatrice the storm? That would be so dumb. I don't know if that's going to be it. Though only the two of them were in the lounge, Erika faced in all directions an invisible audience would have been, where an invisible audience would have been, and shrugged. Just as Erika imagined, the targets of her comments actually were there, listening in. Spiderwebs. They burn if you touch them? When Beto the Elder snapped her fingers, a graceful silver spider slopped down from the ceiling, hanging from a transparent thread. Afterwards, only a single silver strand remained. Timidly, Beto stretched her finger out towards the spider's string. Then she touched it. I'm fine. You are? Huh? Beto the Elder lifted up a white, pale finger, and after showing it to her little sister, she traced the silver string with it. There was a stench like a single hair being burnt. Once again, she held her finger up in front of Beto, who was stunned. There was a thin burn line, as though someone had traced across it with a razor. What's going on? That's what I would like to know. Why are you unharmed? I don't know. What I don't understand is why you do get burned by touching a spiderweb. I do not know. It has always been like that since I first gained consciousness. Then are you? Beto hesitated. However, her question was clear. No. I am not one of the evil spirits of Akujigishima. I am Beatrice, ruler of Rokkenjima's night. Even if I do not know why I have the same weakness as the island's evil spirits of old. Are spiderwebs the only thing you can't handle? As this Erika person says, I cannot touch the doorknob to Kinzo's study. That scorpion magic circle burns me. For me, trying to open the door to that study is like trying to pick a red-hot horseshoe out of a fire. What about you? Huh? Scorpion magic circles? The older sister snapped her fingers again. When she did, the surrounding scene bent and twisted, and they had suddenly moved to the place in front of Kinzo's study. And there was the doorknob engraved with the scorpion magic circle. Those who research magic must have a refuge sealed off from both human and spiritual disturbances. It's no surprise that Kinzo chose to seal off his study and place a charm such as this here. And unfortunately, that affects me as well. She gently grasped the doorknob. As she did, a violent burning sound, unbelievably stronger than the one caused by the spiderweb, rang out. One-sama! Your hand! Her hand had been horribly burnt, and Beto couldn't help but avert her eyes. Fear not. This scratch will heal quickly. Apparently, it would heal by itself if I left it alone. The older sister seemed to heal at an inhuman rate. However, it seems that you can handle it just fine. Ah. She timidly poked the doorknob. Nothing happened. Slowly, she touched it with her entire palm, but she felt nothing but a pleasantly cool sensation. Strange. Though you are my double, you are different from me in several ways. While I might be able to touch the doorknob, if I ever get burned like you did, I don't think I'd heal that easily. It's as though you're a normal human.
Yes.
私自身
Even if I find it a little hard to believe that I'm a
自分が魔女だ
witch,
私には
I can't use magic like
お姉
you.
様のように魔法を使うこと
Oh,
も
excuse me.
できない
Even I do find it a little hard to believe that I'm a witch. I can't use magic like you, and I can't get strange burns and heal from them
お父
later.
様は私を
Father believed
偉大なる魔女の生ま
that
れ
I
変
was a
わ
great
りだと
witch
知る私に
reborn,
は
but
それが信
I
じられな
cannot
くて
believe that.
そなたは
Who are
何
you?
者なの
I am
私は
Beatrice,
お父様のた
I
め
was
に
born for
生まれ
father's
てきたお
sake.
姉様は
And you, One-sama?
わらわも
I am
ま
also
たベアトリチェ
Beatrice.
金蔵に魔法
I used
の
magic to give
黄金
Kinzo
を授け
gold, and later became a
その
soul
後
in the
魂
formless
が
witch that haunts this
島に縛り
island.
付けられている体をし
Who
私
on
と
earth
一体
are
何
we?
者なんでしょうわらわと違う
Unlike me, you seem to be a being in possession of a body.
そうなんですか
Really? Yeah.
あのエリカ
I thought of it while
という
listening to that
話を
Erica person.
魔女であり
I am a witch who can use magic but has no
そ
body.
して魔女であ
And
り
you are a witch who has a body but can use no magic.
わらわたちは
Eventually,
やがて
perhaps we will
一つに
become one, each filling in with the other lacks, to form the true,
本当のベアトリーチェ
complete
として完
Beatrice.
成
It seemed to make sense. Both of the Beatrices were missing something. If they became one, then they would surely be very close to the Beatrice that Battler desired.
試して
Do you want to try?
みる手を出せ
Hold out your hand. The older sister slowly raised her palm and held it out before Beato. The large burn from a second ago really had started to heal already.
わらわたちは
It may be possible for us to become
人
one.
わらわも知り
I want
た
to
い
know as well.
そなたと一つ
By
に
becoming one with you, I want to learn about my
未来
future
のわ
self.
らわを
Beto also raised her arm slowly, and the two hands touched. But nothing happened. Perhaps this meant that, while they were fated to become one eventually, their time had not yet come.
わら
For
わ
me,
にとって
being burned by spider webs is perfectly
雲の空に
normal.
しかしそなたは
However, you didn't even know about it.
それを知る同様にそなたは自分が生まれてきた理
In
由
the same way, you say that the reason you were born was for your father's sake.
その弟
Apparently, that father is Ushumiya
どう
Battler.
やら後ろ宮わらわも年に数度しか訪れ
I know him as a rare guest who only comes a few times a year,
知っているその稀な客
but
人
I
の
cannot
おかげで
understand the
そなたと
connection
いう
I
わらわ
have
に
with such an infrequent
どのよ
visitor.
うな接点があるわらわたちは
Surely we must learn more about each other. Yeah,
そうです
you're right.
私たちは
I get the
互い
feeling
に
that learning about each other will lend us to something very important, will lead us to something very
その向こう
important.
にいるのが
On the other side lies a single future Beatrice. No,
それこそ
it may be more correct to call her
わ
the
らわ
true
たちの
form we
あ
are
るべ
meant
き
to
正
possess.
しい姿に違い
With
ない
hands still joined, the two Beatrices swore to fill in the parts the other lacked and regain their single form. Bit by bit, Beato was walking down the path that led to the former Beatrice. Curious. And I'm sure this is all part of Battler's plan. Whoa. Why did it pull that up? I didn't do that. It wanted me to save. Is something big about to happen? Probably. Something huge is about to happen. We are going to save that for next time. I don't know why it pulled up that menu. So I feel like something, yeah, something certainly is coming. But yeah, like I said, that'll be for next time. Ooh-wee. Thank you all for hanging out so much. It's been a blast. I hope you had a good stream. None tomorrow. Got locals. So we will be doing still thinking about the cheese slices and if it applies this to the Beatrices. Yeah, I wonder. There's a lot we'll find out. We'll find it out though, so definitely a lot we can be doing. Alright, I'm just gonna hop off for tonight because I went longer than normal. Wait, hold on. Give me 1 sec. Might have. Yeah. We're gonna hop off. Thank you for the stream. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. I always appreciate it. Saturday, I'll be doing a long session. So the plan is to stream Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I know that's a lot. But I will be out of town 2 weekends in a row. So next Thursday,
to Saturday, I'll be out of town. And then the following Thursday to Saturday, I'll be out of town. And in fact, I might be out of town all week. I haven't figured out if the plan is better to just stay out of town or to drive back and forth twice. So we'll see. But lots of streams coming up. Be good to one another. Make good choices. Love ya. Have a good night. Bye-bye. It's Friday tomorrow. Yay. It's Friday tomorrow. We get to do Friday things. I get to go to locals. All right. Bye, everyone.